Gather round, freaks. It's us, the people over at the show. Hey, did you see this one?
The Disco Boys! Whoa!
The Disco fucking boys. And we're telling you to gather round the freak zone and get on the internet and get on Twitch and get on down and get on down and get on down because it's time for Hey. Did you see this one?
Once upon a time, movie magic was dwindling, and things were changing. And this month, Stephen Waters and Hey, did you see this one? Would like to take you back there. Take you on a trip down memory lane to revisit some of their favorite movies from the late 1900s. From cult classics to box office hits, they'll explore the mysticism of this iconic era of film history. Tune in to relive the magic of the previous century in the nostalgic 90s.
Blood! Peter flogging flying pain!
Hey, don't open that! It's an alien planet! Is there air? You don't know!
Seems okay.
Ooh, get the devil on the phone. It's time again for Hey, did you see this one? It's Thursday night. You know what that means? We're going to be talking films and talking movies. It's a round table chat. It's a review
talking
show.
disco.
It's a Hey, did you see this one? Extravaganza. It's episode 134, also known as season 2, episode 34. It's a new month. Last month, the clock of time turned to a new year. For me, I'm old now. Now Steve's turned too old. It is Steve's birthday month.
Too old. I think I'm gonna be just old enough. You know what they say? Disco is not dead. Disco is life.
That's right. Disco is life. And this week on the show, we're starting the nostalgic 90s month, and we're talking about Mystery Men from 1999. My name is Jason R. Phillips. I'm joined as always by my co-host Stephen Jonathan Waters.
No.
And
Even Disco Boy Waters.
Disco Boy Waters.
Tony C, as they call me on the streets.
And
Tony B in the sheets.
Whoa. And we're joined this week by fan of the show, guest of the show, former guest of the show, dog owner, co-host of Stick Taps and Blood Slaps or whatever.
Stitches.
Blood slaps. Jesus.
Stick Taps and Stitches, the hockey podcast.
Noel
K.
K.
Noel K. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show.
So they're just holding her while all her vomit is being cleaned up and whatnot.
Right. She doesn't eat it. Yeah, we know what the dogs love, eating their own vomit.
The dog's
Just
like, give me
human.
my vomit.
All right.
Need that puke. Give me that puke. Anyway.
She smells real bad. I can't get my blur on, but whatever.
Oh, that's a great background.
Neither could this movie. They had to settle for Smash Mouth. Am I right?
Somebody, you know, that's funny about that song is the music video has scenes from this movie, and also it also has, like, it's made for this movie, and also this movie predates Shrek. I'm pretty sure
by 2 years.
Yeah.
Everybody
also predates Rat
2001.
Race. I believe Rat
Never
Race also
forget.
has this movie or this song at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, while they're all diving into the crowd.
True.
Bonjour. I think you muted yourself by accident.
Stop. It's not time to be muted. It's time for talking and time for dancing the disco.
The dog is taking a bath. To the disco room.
The disco.
Noel, thank you for coming back on the show. It's been a moment. We always love to have you on the show. We're talking Mr. Man. The thing that we do first each and every week is we'd let people know who won the correct movie guesses mini game that we have. So it's time for, hey, did you guess this one?
Congratulations! You have successfully guessed the correct answer, which is the answer you provided. Congratulations!
I should have made disco versions of all of the things.
Failed.
I know. I didn't think
How
about
come
it.
I can't change my background? You see my HelloFresh menus and like
Everybody knows what you're eating. Terrible.
Which HelloFresh did you get?
These are
which
from
food?
like pandemic. They just never came down.
It just never went away. That's funny.
Yeah, actually, it's like, okay, you know what? Sorry, the segment. I'm just gonna.
That's okay. That's okay. I want to try something new here. I'm going to show the viewers, because somebody was like, this should be later in the show, and also is a very visual segment. But you know what? It's not. It's an audio segment, but I'm going to make it a visual segment. This is what I showed. This is what I put up. I'm going to start showing.
Well, Jason, that's just a couple of forks there.
Hey, it's a fork movie. Did you get it? Fork movie?
Give you if you fork get.
Thank you. See, that's good stuff. People guessed a lot of really bad guesses this week, but I couldn't do it a second day because I did actually get a lot of bites, and I don't want the segment to be 17 hours long. So without further ado, Chris Murphy, friend of the show, future guest of the show, and part of the United Federation of Podcasts. Check his shows out, including Hold Up, a movie podcast, and Trivial Debates, which we've been on. We're all fans and guests of each other's stuff on the United Federation of Podcasts. He guessed it correctly, and he just put a picture of the Tick from the television show The Tick. You guys remember The Tick?
Yeah,
sure do.
There were 2 TV shows of The Tick. Which one are you talking? Or 3?
The live action or the?
I'm referring to the
revival
cartoon.
or the cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
There was a third one. What's the third one?
They revived the cartoon, did they?
There was the Peter Serafinowicz Tick. There was the Seinfeld guy. What's his name? The guy who plays Putty. He played the Tick as well for a little while. And then
that's right. The live action Tick from the 90s that was pretty much on at the same time as the Tick.
No.
Okay. We can also talk about Paul Verhoeven. Maybe we should.
Okay, listen. He wanted it. He just said, I was trying to stall so I get the picture, but it's on Instagram, so forget it. A picture of the Tick saying spoon. And it's funny, I saw that earlier and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And now I remember why he sent that. Also, my friend Kyle Mack, aka the rapper Black Rook, he wanted me to promote that Black Rook ECMA nominee, also pretty good rapper. His Black Rook album and new video, Get It Better, on YouTube. Thanks, yo. Also, he said that, not me. He said, thanks, yo, not me. Steve Broadbent.
I think we figured that out, Jason. It's okay.
There's a lot of squeaking.
That's my that's my code. I should maybe take it off. This is literally the sound of my jacket right now.
I'm wearing the same thing I wore last time.
Yeah, I'm wearing the same thing I wore in the last.
I'm dressed as a disco boy for those who can't see me, and I'm realizing that it's very loud. So I should maybe take this off at some point.
No, it's funny. It adds to the audio version. Steve Broadbent, also known as Olin's, back from he's from Australian, but he's from a friend from Halifax. He's wanting to say the first night of night shift is always the worst. The second night is not much better, but it's all gravy after Wednesday. Is that I don't know. Is that a reference to this movie?
No.
Okay. Mike Gray, somebody from Facebook, co-host. He's the co-host of Gray's Taproom podcast. I said, what's that podcast about? I'll never listen to it. He said, a comedy podcast that's like having a conversation with your friends at a bar. We tell jokes, talk shit, and just try to have a good time.
Well, maybe you should listen to it. Maybe I'll listen.
Maybe
Yeah.
I should.
All of us will listen to it.
we're all gonna say we're gonna listen to it. Aaron Hurdle, guest of the show, fan of the show, former guest of the show. He wanted to shout out Soldier Boy. Hope all is well. And then 2 people on TikTok got it. They didn't get their submissions in before I did this episode today, so their names are named after a book and Gregory the Giraffe. So those are the people that got the movie correct this week. I'm all alone on the show now. This is my show.
I'm here. I thought maybe we would give you a moment to finish your segment.
Well, I do have a segment. You put me on the main stage, buddy. Hey, this is that time of the show once again where I tell you and I look you in the eyes and I say, follow us on all social media. You can find us at Hey Did You See This One across. This is your call to action. You can find us on all social media, pretty much everywhere. We frequent Twitch as you're watching us on right now, and YouTube as you're watching us on right now, Facebook as you're watching us on right now. But you can also find us on TikTok, and Instagram. So please go over there and follow us there. We've hundreds of episodes. We have hours and hours of content, all for free. And we'll never make it not free, unless we do. But that requires you to go follow us. It's kind of a vicious cycle.
All right. You're in a vicious cycle right now of talking. Let's get them to stop, everyone. Stop
I'd
it.
like to also give a shout out to White Bed Audio, whose music we use in the pre-show each and every week.
I look like one of their right now. I look like one of their thumbnails. Basically,
Yeah.
You look like an NPC in Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Oh,
You also look like the kid in that one meme who's dancing like this, which I think you were doing for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
I'll take all of these as compliments, even if they're meant as insults.
I don't insult anybody ever.
I don't know. Like, you were insulting how stressed out I was with vomiting dogs and whatnot.
It wasn't an insult. It was a term of endearment. Anyway.
Jesus.
Jason, I love you. You're my favorite.
That's
Well,
what
I
he
love
says
you
when he
too.
calls
I'm
me
sorry
the
that
F-slur. I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
Whoa, I didn't hear that. I was too busy listening to Jason, hoping he was going to compliment me.
I said I love you too. You're great. You're fantastic. And, you know.
But the last 2 times I've been on the show, it's been a nightmare right before.
That's true.
Well,
yeah.
the last time you were on the show, I was like 8 seconds before the show. I was like, "Can you be on?" You're like, "I have a migraine," and I was like, "But do you want to come on a show?" And you were like, "Fine."
I
might
had a
soothe your
really
migraine.
bad migraine again today, and then the dog got sick. It was.
And when I asked you about this show a few days ago, you're like, "I have a migraine." So it seems like you have a perpetual headache.
I am struggling. Call me William Nylander. I don't know what's going on. So.
I don't get that. I don't get that reference.
Oh, he was out of the playoffs for 3 games. Because he had migraines.
Oh, because the hockey podcast.
And everyone in Toronto is currently in depressio mode.
Yeah, because the Maple Leafs suck, right?
They did lose.
I don't know. I don't understand sporting events.
I have a migraine. That's all you need to know. That
Yeah,
migraines are multi-day affairs, and I
Yeah.
feel a little bit better right now because I died and then got vomited on. So
You should take a whole bunch of Advil and go into a really cold, dark room.
that's what I did. So
Dr. Jason's advice on migraine.
it's not a whole bunch of Advil. It's called, there's the multi and then the double multi. So the double multi is 2 Advil and 2 extra strength Tylenol. And sometimes if you take that at the very beginning, it numbs a little bit. Now the multi is when you have to take 2 and 2 and then 2 will leave. And then in 2 hours, you do it again.
That's too much. Your intestines are going to bleed.
The pain flames on the sides of my head. It's not recommended.
No.
What am I supposed to do? I have to pot, so I have to take 1,000,000 pills.
That's cool. That means that you're gonna you got. I know the feet. Like, I don't get migraines anymore, but I know that like warm feeling. That's just obviously the headache covered over with.
It feels like my eyes are like melting out of my face. Like my ears are bleeding. There's pain here. Like this feels like an elephant is like crushing it, and I can't see. Just knocking into shit.
You're gonna kill Steve if we keep talking about it.
Welcome to headache.
Listen, guys,
hour.
I also get migraines. I know what they feel like, and I'll tell you,
Okay.
they feel a lot like you're dying.
We're giving the audio listener a migraine right now talking about migraines.
I'm
But how about
sorry.
this? It's okay. But how about this? Why don't we talk about our brief history with the film
Mystery Men. I don't know if
Man.
we've even said the name of the movie yet, but here
I
we
did.
are.
I said it a couple times.
Okay.
It's in the background.
History.
A brief history.
Just imagine
Blah,
that
blah,
with
blah.
disco music instead.
Dun, 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 dun. Around here, it's a time-honored tradition to give our guests the first opportunity to give their brief history. So Noel the bowler, Bowlingston, Kotif. Why
So,
don't you tell us about your brief history?
I watched this movie when it came out. I don't think I watched it in theaters, but I remember when the Smash Mouth song came out, it was on high rotation on Much Music. And like everyone in my generation, I watched Much Music a lot. So very distinctly remember that this was not from Shrek, that the Mystery Men are in the video for this. And I think Big Shiny Tunes 4 came out that year, and the Smash Mouth song, I believe, was on that. I don't know. Anyway, I could be lying. But I like this movie when it came out. I remember it fondly. I quote it all the time. It's like one of the movies that I quote all the time. I have it on DVD, and I bought that DVD in like the first run of it being on DVD. So I've always had this movie. I haven't watched it in a while though. I think the last time I watched it was with Steven. We watched it. I fell asleep halfway through. And then this time around. But before that, it had been like a couple years since I'd watched it. But yeah, I think it holds up. There's some stuff that I'm sure we'll talk about that I was just like, I don't remember that. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It got buried. I hate that. But.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that you wish that it was far better received than it was, because it's like it's a love letter to superhero movies while also being a criticism of them. It's like caught in this world between like satire and like straight up slapstick version of like a Tim Burton movie. There are people who think Tim Burton directed this movie. Idiots.
So I have thoughts about that, and I was going to wait until we get into the body of the episode, but
Right.
I have thoughts about the Tim Burton. I think I would confuse it for being directed by Joel Schumacher before I confused it for a Tim Burton.
Most definitely, yeah.
It's got that color palette of Batman and Robin. Same.
And then
campiness.
there's another guy who only directed music videos. I think, is he the director of Charlie's Angels? But there's like a couple of these guys that are like.
Yeah, we'll talk about the director in the director talk segment. It's
his name's like Blinky Diddy or whatever.
Kinka Usher.
Oh.
But
yes, that's my brief history. My briefs on history.
Steve.
Me? Oh, okay.
It's your birthday month. You picked it. You picked it. You picked it. You picked it.
It's also my birthday. Stephen and I are twins.
We're twins.
Yeah.
Twins. Powers activate.
Well, happy birthday to Steve and happy birthday to
Form of loud leather jacket.
We're the exact same age.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody once told me that you guys have the same birthday, and it was you, Noel, and it was today.
It was just now. So the first time I saw this movie was in the theater. I was a mega Bat boy as throughout the 90s. I saw the return of Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever, and Batman. I saw all of them in theaters, and I was obsessed with Batman. I had like all my obsessions when I was a kid. Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, and Batman were my huge things. And this came out right at sort of like that moment where you're about to leave childhood and start to have to like figure things out in middle school, and you have a little bit more independence. You start going to movies by yourself, but this was not quite at that moment yet. So I was still seeing movies with my parents. It was the only time I would go see movies was either with my parents or with a friend of mine's with their parents with us. And this movie, I remember just being like, this is like one of the greatest all-time movies ever made. Top 10 out of the, I was going to say IMDb. What's the movie list that everybody salutes or whatever, tips their hats to?
Criterion? collection?
No, whatever. It's like top 10 movies ever made next to Citizen Kane and Star Wars Episode 1 in my mind. Like at that time.
Yeah,
at
the
that time, yeah.
Like
At that
Paddington is at the top now, I believe.
Yeah, but for me, walking out, I was like, this movie, The Spleen, he's gonna clean up at the Oscars next year. Did you see Paul Reubens' performance as the Spleen? Killed it. He made my heart warm. He made my eyes moist, and he made me laugh at farts again. It had been years. But I absolutely loved this movie when I first saw it, and like I had it as a home artifact, but I didn't have it on DVD. I had it on VHS. So like that was short-lived. After this moment was like when VHS started to die. So it was one of those movies that I had to go behind the TV and like hook up the VCR again, unplug the DVD, figure out how to plug the VCR in, and watch Mystery Men. Yeah, I loved this movie as a kid, and I gotta say, I still love it. I still love it now.
Yeah. People who I really like usually have this movie. Like my best friend, who I didn't grow up with but went to high school with, had also loved this movie. And then you love this movie. And then, I don't know, it's just magic. This movie's magic. Jason?
It's similarly, I didn't see it in theaters, and I didn't own it, but it was one of those movies that I would like rent all the time, and I saw a million times. But weirdly enough, rewatching it, the second half of the movie was scrubbed from my memory because the first half of the movie was just like there. Like I was like, I've seen this 1,000 times, and I don't know how that happened. Like I don't know. Maybe it was like going to sleepovers when I was, 13 years old and 14 years old, and it would just be on, and you pay attention for half of it, and then you start, goofing
kissing
about kissing each other,
Playing spin the bottle.
Yeah.
Playing spin the windmill.
Oh, Jesus, what's that?
That took you a sec. No, but
it's dangerous.
It was also a constant all through the early 2000s. It was one of those things that was on TV all the time, as I recall. And I don't really have like this great history with it like you guys do, but it definitely lived with me for my whole life, mostly.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I always kind of forget that in 1999 I was 14, so I was already starting to be a little bit like, but this movie is like a PG, like the quintessential PG-13. Like it's the perfect like, movie for a 14-year-old at a sleepover, right? And probably.
Yeah, no parent is going to scoff at it and be like, this is too violent for you. This is too raunchy for you. And they're right. It isn't. It's not. Even
though there is some pretty intense moments, they're kind of played up for comedy. And it's very much like, you're right. A parent is going to come in the room and be like, fart jokes, get this movie off the screen.
It's really goofy. Even the gore is not, it's just goofy.
It's goofy.
It is a little disturbing movie, though. Like when Mr. Captain Amazing turns inside out or whatever, it's kind of a little scary. Like, I mean,
that reminded me of the Mario Brothers movie.
The evolution ray.
Yes.
The devolution ray,
like the Kronos machine or whatever. Yeah, it is unnerving. I would say I remember as a kid being like, this is fucked, and then like him being all burnt and nasty.
Yeah.
But one of my most favorite lines in all of cinema happens moments later, which is when one of the disco boys goes up and says, "This sucker's dead." Like, yeah, this sucker. Totally.
My favorite line after that is, "I don't think he's gonna make it."
Yeah. Or when Janeane Garofalo is like, "I'm gonna take his pulse," and then touches his arm and shatters. Yeah.
Cool. One of the things about this movie that I absolutely love is that it's like a chaotic stew of comedic sensibilities that like almost shouldn't work together. Like they're not all in the same wavelength, and every actor is hitting their own sort of comedic beat. And even like side characters or characters that are in there for 2 seconds are hitting their own comedic beats. And it's just like this maelstrom of joke after joke, minute for minute. Like everything is hitting and landing for me for the most part. There's not a lot of jokes in this where I'm like,
Everything's hitting and landing for me. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
I was just going to say there's not enough who's on first style jokes in superhero movies, even to this day.
Oh, you like the sprinkler joke? Is that what you're going to say?
I like the one where they just keep going back and forth saying the same thing. I can't remember what it was now.
My
Where they're all
favorite-
trying to
is
figure
it-
out what bird call to make.
Is it the
Yeah. That's a good one.
okay? When the bowler and Mr. Furious are going back and forth. Is
Well,
that
why
the
don't
one?
you then? Well, I will.
Yeah.
Well, good
Yeah.
then. I will. Then
And
why
then as
don't
soon
you
as he
then?
leaves, she starts up with the shoveler, and then they start being like, "Why don't you marry him? Why don't you marry him?"
Yeah.
And there's another good one where the sprinklers are about to activate, and they're all like, they all have a different explanation for what it could be, and so because of that, they all have a different plan for what they should do. Or it's like,
I mean, the whole lever thing is a who's
yeah,
on
it's
first.
all it's the yeah.
How many flips?
They figured, how many toggle switch in total are there? Not talking about the gratuitous first toggle switch. Yeah.
I think the
And
pacing
Greg
and
Kinnear is just like
structure-
sweating, and he's like, I don't know, one more flip, just
60.
do the flip.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost getting too into it.
Yeah,
too
sorry.
quickly.
Yeah, let's talk about this director for a minute, and then we can get into the body of the episode.
There's not a lot about this director.
No.
Well, I actually have I did, because I was like, how did this movie's amazing? What the fuck? What happened? And so I did a little bit of research on this guy, and I'm like, oh, okay, he is just like a smart person. That's what happened. So he
gotta play the Sting though.
Yeah, he made one other movie other than this for Roger Corman, which I couldn't really find too much information on. And then he just directed commercials, but he's also like the mastermind behind all commercials from the 90s that are the most memorable. Like,
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling?
God,
Okay, let's shoot this piece of
Sound.
my birthday.
Speed.
Interrupting you, bud.
Action!
I just gotta hear. Let's shoot this piece of shit. Sorry, you were saying.
Like he created like the Taco Bell dog, and like what we know of Dorito and Mountain Dew commercials, and just like that sort of extreme end of 90s Gen X edge that exists in commercials, which is supremely present in this movie, by the way. Like that feeling of having to express to the audience and have them understand very small pieces of action and understanding and emotion within very condensed moments of time is just happening over and over and over and over in this movie, which kind of makes it feel shorter than it is to me, because you're digesting so much. You get to the end and you're like, that was 2 hours. It did not feel like 2 hours.
It's in snippets. At the very end, when they're thanking people, they're like, and the people who remember jingles from commercials. And I was just like, yeah, that's for him. When I said there wasn't a lot, I meant like for movies. Because he's like, I'm done after this one.
Which it's also like his only
went back to
real
commercials.
His
went back to
director
commercials, yeah.
credits. His director credits are literally Mystery Men and like 4 commercials for cars.
He made a lot more than that for commercials. He made so much money making commercials that he was able to design and build a $20 million mansion like somewhere in fucking Italy or some shit. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't want to discredit this guy, because he is a prolific camera and electrical department person, and he did create the movie. He did work on the movie Beach Balls from 1990.
Oh, Jason's favorite movie.
Beach Balls.
Which one of those balls is your favorite ball in that picture, Jason?
The third one. I just thought it's hilarious because this dude clearly got his start on like movie sets.
Yeah, he's kind of the example of like the guy who got there and had enough talent to be able to.
And then his movie bombed, and then he went back to
I think
getting paid for.
Yeah, I think he was like, I'm not going to do that again. It took so much out of me, and I can make just as much money just making a 30-second commercial that takes me a week, which is kind of disheartening in a way to me, because there are really good commercial directors that translate even better to long form narrative. And I mean, visually, there are some that like nowadays you're like, oh my God, what's this guy doing? Like the Zack Snyders come to mind, where you're like, oh, I understand he's very good at putting things on camera and telling and giving vibes in a movie, pairing music with visuals, but then he's like got to fill his movie full of sexual assault and for some reason. But then you've got someone like, yeah. And then you've got we don't need to talk about Zack Snyder. I'm just saying that he started in commercials as well, and it's very obvious in his visual style in movies that he did. Someone like Ridley Scott also was a commercial director who translates pretty well to epic storytelling, and his whole thing is like you put it on screen and you take your time and you'll know what you're doing, and like he has an idea of something visually before he does narratively, and sometimes that is powerful. And I think that this guy has that same kind of superpower. He just didn't really give himself, or maybe no one else gave him the chance to flex it a little bit more because his first movie bombed so hard.
I will say
it sounded like he made the choice.
Yeah. I didn't look too hard into like why he stopped, just that he did. And I'm like, I guess I can understand that. But this movie's good, man. But I mean, he didn't write it. So.
No, that's what I want to talk about. Even though he's there, it's not the director. One of the people. So two people wrote this movie: Neil Cuthbert and Bob Burden. Okay, Bob Burden's only real credits is this movie. He was himself in some things.
He wrote the comic book.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. But the thing about Neil Cuthbert is Neil Cuthbert wrote The Adventures of Pluto Nash and Hocus Pocus.
I don't like either of those movies.
A classic. Oh, well.
Hocus Pocus is
we came at that from two different. Hocus Pocus is fantastic. You're crazy.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid.
I didn't like it as a kid, so like I don't have that like.
I didn't like broccoli as a kid.
That's true. You make a good point there.
Delicious.
But I also watched Hocus Pocus as an adult, and I still don't really like it that much. I like stuff about it, but I don't like it in its entirety. Though I do love Doug Jones, and Doug Jones is in this movie we're talking about right now.
My point is that it's interesting that the writer of this person that wrote this movie wrote two beloved movies by other people.
Right. Pluto Nash, I don't think is beloved by anybody, is it?
I don't know. I think people liked Pluto Nash when they were a kid, didn't they? I don't know if I've ever actually seen it all the way through. I just recognize.
I've never seen it.
It's got Rosario Dawson and Luis Guzman and
the Crazy Quaid brother.
Sounds good already.
And Joe Pantoliano and Peter Boyle. Wow, it's fucking. And Pam Grier, isn't it? John Cleese, Ileana Douglas.
John Cleese famous. Is he like a conservative libertarian? Mick G. That's the name of the guy who did the Charlie's Angels. He wasn't commercials. He was music videos.
Yeah. And Mick G also like he had sort of a much more inflated ego, I think, than somebody like Kinka Usher, the guy who made this.
Seems it.
I mean, his name is not Mick G. It's not his real name.
What?
Yeah, like he gave himself like a fucking like hip hop name or like a brand name or whatever.
Burden is the writer of Flaming Carrot Comics and the Mystery Men, which this was based on. So he says I was reading like an interview that he did recently about it, and it sounds like he's got a byline, like a writing credit, because he was the creator for it and had like input into the movie, but it doesn't seem like he was actually the script.
Were the Mystery Men in Flaming Carrot? I remember Flaming Carrot when I was a kid.
Yes, so Flaming Carrot is
bookstore guy.
His ragtag team are like the Mystery Men. So Mr. Furious is in it, and the Blue.
If they
Raja.
remade this movie now, there's a good chance we'd get like a CGI Flaming Carrot character.
Well, they said so. They didn't use the Flaming Carrot because they didn't want to play with the CGI and get a weird Howard the Duck style thing. Like that's what, and quotes. So that's why he's not one of the characters, and they picked other characters for it because they just didn't have the CGI for it.
So this is like Guardians of the Galaxy, even before Guardians of the Galaxy, where they just picked whatever people they could put on screen from this group, basically, that cost the least amount of money, and most of the money went to the forks and the fucking bowling ball.
Yes.
I don't know if that's
the sound that the bowling ball makes. I really like it. The vroom.
Yeah,
Droom.
it's
No, I
sort
mean
of
for the
like a
superheroes.
didgeridoo noise, like wow, wow, wow. Yeah, it's.
I mean for the
haunting.
superheroes, not for like the rest of the film at large. I just mean
I know
the
I was
special
just joking around.
Did we get a Dane
Joking.
Cook jump scare?
Yes.
Was that who that
It
was?
was
did.
a jump scare. Yeah,
I
I
hated
was like,
it.
whoa.
the waffler.
I
yeah.
hate. Oh, also, I'm pretty sure one of the rapper characters is Gnarls Barkley. Before he was ever famous, 99%.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I just assumed that everybody at that table was a cameo, but I didn't. Like, I was too dumb as a kid. I'm like, they're probably all famous, right? They're all like famous actors. Like every single one of these people are famous.
So, Steven, you have the DVD, right? Did you watch the extras?
I don't. I have the VHS, no extras. But I did watch a behind the scenes, a couple of things
I have
today.
the extras.
I don't have it.
It
Yeah,
comes
I
with
just
the
looked it
music
up.
video, and it
just looked
comes
it up.
with like a vignette and the director commentary, which I didn't get a chance to watch, but will.
So that's weird because CeeLo Green wouldn't have a Gnarls Barkley song for like another 11 years or something. And he must have been some sort of music producer before he was ever a solo artist.
Well, one of the songs that was made for this movie, Who Are Those Mystery Men, featuring Romaine Jones, is Kel and the MAFTMCs. Is he one of those?
Kel Mitchell
Must
is the Invisible Boy.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
He was like a musician. He's also the guy from like Good Burger and shit. Like we all know.
Yeah,
Good
that's
Burger.
That's Kel. I thought it was Cisco for some reason, but I think Cisco's like in another movie.
Well, that's because you're
era.
racist. No, it's just because the hair. I when I was a kid, I thought he was Cisco as well. I was like,
Oh shit!
is that?
I just got a
Cisco?
notification. You've both been canceled.
No, not again.
Ha! You're canceled for once. But Cisco's in some movie from like around this time, isn't he?
Is he in Wild Wild West? Is that the one that
He's in the Thong Song music video. That's what you're thinking of.
I just googled Cisco movies. He's in Snow Dogs, Get Over It, Surf School.
Does he play one of the dogs,
he's
or is
in
he literally in it as like or is he a voice of a dog?
He must be a voice.
He is in Wild Wild West.
He is in Wild Wild West. He's in
Who does
Pieces
he
of
play in Wild Wild
April.
West?
Is he just in the music
John
video
West,
for the
Desperado.
song?
That's what I'm thinking. But also,
Oh, because he's the singer. He's like the singing part of that song, right?
I guess so.
No,
should we
he
get
plays
to-
Cisco
Will
in
Smith
the
can't
movie.
sing. He can only kind of like talk rap or whatever. Like he's not.
Yeah,
Will Smith is not the greatest musician.
music video for Wild Wild West, he plays himself.
So he's not in
Okay.
the movie. Okay. I was gonna say I've seen Wild Wild West almost as much as I've seen all the movies we're doing this month, and I do not recall seeing Cisco in the movie. But
How many times have you
I
seen
don't
this
know.
movie, though?
Beach balls, oh my god!
Sorry, Noel. I know
I've
that
never seen it.
covers up your face when that happens, and it must not.
With a giant beach
Cover
ball.
my
great.
face, whatever you need.
Anyway, I think we should. What we're getting at here is that this movie is just as mysterious as its title. Mystery Man is the director of this movie. He's not a household name. He's not something that people would immediately identify with his work, but he has a vast expanse, like an annal, almost like a library of works that if you were to show people, they'd be like, yeah, I remember that from the 90s. And a lot of it is his stuff. And it's wild, almost as wild as Wild Wild West. I mean, I feel like they could have done that practically. I'm just saying, a big carrot face.
In '99, it would have looked like shit, and it probably would have made this movie less good, in my opinion.
I agree. I think they made the
If
right
they
choice.
they remade Mystery Men in 2025 and had Flaming Carrot and whatever the fuck that other character
I don't
is
think they
on
should
it.
remake it. I think they should do a Lego sequel.
I think they should
Like a different, make it more comic book accurate.
do what
Anyway,
they
why
did
don't you
with
hit the body
Watchmen.
theme?
Hey, guys, you're both talking at the same time. Noel, go first.
Thank you. Well, he's trying to railroad me. Would you have a heart out at 10:30 like
I don't think
do?
we can say railroad anymore.
Did I just get canceled?
Uh-oh.
Everybody's canceled.
Man, I swear I heard someone use it in work context. That's a problem. Okay, let's see. What was I saying? Don't remember. Thanks, Jason.
Lego
No,
sequel, and then you both
Lego
started talking
sequel.
at the same time.
Watchmen would be a like prestige TV short series.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to do it. I think like give it a
Oh, yeah,
little
like-
mini series thing.
But imagine it was
It's,
like they're at the spleen's funeral because Paul Reubens is dead, and there you still hear farting coming from inside the casket as it's being lowered.
because that's immediately you set what kind of comedy this TV show is.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Is that good?
When you said that, all I could think about was when they were at Han's funeral, and then they have to go back to the Tokyo Drift cast and find out more information about Han. We found this
And then
on
he's just
him.
alive.
That's
still.
how it starts.
Yeah.
Somehow the flaming carrot and the spleen are intertwined in some sort of fiery fart past.
Ho, 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 ho! Everybody back up, because here comes the body of the episode.
I just wanted to push us through to the body because we'll just keep joking.
We're already in the body. We've been talking about the body.
This
for a
is
while.
the body of the episode, and this is the point of the podcast where it becomes
the
fucking
spleen.
real.
That's the
What does Blue Raja look like?
It's Raja.
Raja.
What does Blue Raja look like?
That's fucking great. Hank Azaria is fantastic in this film. I really think that it's good that he didn't do a racist Indian accent.
It's still a really, really, really problematic take. You can't.
Yeah,
I think that the
Like,
movie
it's
also sort of acknowledges the fact that it's bad though. Like
It-
even he is like, "Well, if you know your British history, you'll know that British people were really bad.
Yeah, but he's still dressed up in
That's true.
like garb, so he's still got that. He's being like what the British did in India is horrible.
Mhm.
The fact that he called it's not good, and it wouldn't be done today. But it's also not the point of this podcast, so we're just gonna put it over here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna acknowledge
Okay.
it's problematic and that I really
I also
don't like
I don't
it.
think it's like a way. It's a thing for us to sit down and discuss
Yeah.
how they could have
But
done it better.
I
or-
had to say that of like I don't like it.
Yeah.
Hank Azaria at this point in his career is just playing a lot of really problematic stereotypes all over. That's like what he's doing in the Birdcage. He does it, like obviously on The Simpsons he does it. So yeah, it could be worse. But
it's also nice to hear that he also now current day Hank Azaria is like completely willing to talk about it and be like, yeah, I did not realize the implications of what I was doing back then, and that's why I'm completely okay with somebody coming in and replacing me on The Simpsons for
is
several.
that what
But
happened?
that's what I'm saying. Like, it could have been worse. Like, the fact that this movie came out in 1999 and we don't get a single R word and we don't get like a whole bunch of other stuff, extremely egregious stuff, is actually pretty good. Like, I said that it holds up. So that's like the one problematic piece I have, and then there's one other. But like overall, for a 1999 movie, it's pretty good.
Pretty good. You're right. There isn't a lot of like. There's no gay panic stuff. There's no, like you said, there's no R words. Considering the source material probably has all that because it's very much like an indie comic from the 90s. You know. I see what you're saying. Bob Burden is the guy who like in that. So he was a co-writer because he. I don't see who Blue Raja could be on this comic book cover even.
Well, I don't see who anyone could be on this.
Well, the shoveler is clearly there.
Oh yeah, there's a guy with a shoveler.
Claiming Flaming Carrot has the bowling ball, I think. And Mr.
All
Rude.
right, take this away. I don't want to see this.
Sorry.
Get it out of here.
Dave Mater
All right.
did make a good point that
I did
this
not
movie
mean
deserves a sequel. I just wanted to point that out. Dave Mater.
Like a
honestly,
sequel.
that is a thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I mean, we can do it now or we can do it later. I was going to bring it up later, but I was like, if you had sort of a blue sky pitch for what you would do for a sequel to this movie, because I think that it almost feels appropriate for them to make a sequel now, just based on the iconography and history of superhero movies over the last 10 to 14 years or whatever since the first Iron Man movie up until now. I feel like something like this should come out of nowhere and kick the MCU in the butt and be like, hey, remember this?
Well, it's also Universal, so it's like the only thing Disney doesn't own.
Yeah. And like they don't even in this movie they're making fun of stuff without directly making fun of it in a creative and fun way, right? Like Captain Amazing in general is like he's Batman, he's Superman, he's every sort of mainstream super white man superhero that you can think of, all wrapped into one with a little bit of Homelander sprinkled in, like Homelander becoming a household name.
It's a little bit great. Homelander. I like that he has his ads slapped all over his body. I'm surprised that
like he's a race car.
Yeah, I'm surprised the boys didn't do that. Really, they do have commercials and stuff in that show, but I'm surprised that Homelander doesn't have like a giant Coca-Cola logo across.
Well, I think it's because of this movie, right?
So in the comics, the Mystery Men have the logos on their car thing. And then it was the movie choice to put them on Captain Amazing. So like they took.
I think it's a great choice. Like it's so funny.
It's perfect, like you said, like a race car. Like
like he himself is the race car, which is like it's so brilliantly fun. And like when he gets so mad that he rips one off and is like holding
like
up
Korean
the Pepsi logo,
Korean Pepsi or something.
And that's what would. Have you ever seen like KHL players? You know what? That's a
KHL.
Yeah, the Russian Hockey League.
Oh
no!
What does the K stand for?
I don't know.
KGB.
No,
the K stands for KGB.
Anyway,
it's an acronym for an acronym. Yeah.
They and a lot of other European hockey leagues are just covered in logos, like their jerseys. Like it's not just like the little thing; it's just like completely covered.
Yeah, we've entered into a universe where in the WWE they now have the Prime logo smack dab in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania. It's like we're like minutes before wrestlers have fucking that shit all over them.
Didn't they just like chemically prove that Prime is like absolutely horrific for your body or something?
Yes,
not too long ago.
Yeah, there's like a class action suit or something on it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the new Gatorade, but it's literally the electrolytes are just sugar.
Yeah,
electrolytes,
which is not an electrolyte.
Yes. You know what? This isn't chemistry talk.
Yeah.
Electrolyte is like
time
salt
for
and
chemistry talk.
Lemon juice. Like
no, yeah. What is in here? No, it's whatever. Anyway.
Also, if you have a migraine, try Pedialyte. I wonder if that'll work. Works for hangovers.
I was using Gatorade, and that's why I also have the Gatorades, and I needed caffeine. This isn't migraine talk.
Migraine talk. It's a new segment on the show.
Like
it's how to get.
Yeah, my thoughts for the sound clip will be like a thunderstorm, like in the distance, like migraine.
Fuck.
And then the bowler thing can just like a.
And then someone going, like screaming for their lives.
All the sounds that make your migraine worse.
Yeah.
I took like less notes than I normally do. Do you want me to like keep us on pace with the plot like I usually do?
I mean, I think we should go a little bit with the plot because I do think that it is a very plot easy movie to discuss, and every sort of set piece and sequence in this movie is fun enough to talk about. I don't think we need to go into complete detail for everything, but like there's so much fun in this movie.
Well, the
like,
opening
every scene has something in it that makes me giggle and laugh.
The opening segment of this movie is really cool because we just get this sweeping shot of Champion City, and we get a real like Batman style like villains coming into but it's like
it also feels like cyberpunk or Blade Runner,
cyberpunky. It's like Night City from Cyberpunk,
and you're like hyped up with this like amazing feeling of like this city is full of crime, and then
that's what I wanted to say about the set pieces of this city. There's really like scenes wise. There's really only like 7 or 8 locations, but because of the matte paintings of the city in the background and these sweeping shots of the city, you feel like the world building in this is really interesting. You feel like you're in this giant city, so you're only seeing these few elements, but you do get the idea that you're in a massive sprawling city, like a bigger city than I've ever seen in a movie.
It
maybe
looks like Schumacher's Gotham.
Like
those sweeping shots of, especially in Batman and Robin, where you have like the big statues and so it felt a little bit like that mixed with like the Fifth Element was kind of the vibe I was feeling.
The Fifth Element is directly, referencing Blade Runner. It's just sort of this like weird sort of hyper cyber version of the future, but like it's also supposed to take place in 1999, which is great. It's supposed
it's
to
like
sorry.
I was just gonna say I saw somebody say like, what if they made like a Fallout game, but like instead of it being like the 1950s is like the sort of the retrofuturism, like the 90s is the retrofuturism. And that's what this feels like. It feels like we're in some sort of weird, horrible dystopian future, but it's the 90s. So this could work as a remake if it was still set in that style.
The thing with the 90s, though, what was popular was like blow up stuff, weird cyberpunk things, gel pens. Like it really fits that.
Shout out gel pens.
No, remember on the black paper?
Right. I do. Of course.
Like this completely fits the theme of like this plasticky kind of like neo future punkish that was like the late 90s.
Captain Amazing himself, like one of the main reasons I wore this knowing it was going to be loud, but one of the main reasons is because when he moves around, this is the sound you get when he's like, I thought it was maybe pathetic, and he like grabs the Pepsi, like he's squeaking and stretching.
The other thing that they had a lot of I think it was, I didn't take a good look. I think it was Chinese, but it reminded me of Firefly, how the language, like the predominant languages in Firefly and Serenity are English and Chinese. And that's just like part of that neo future, right?
Yeah.
Like in the 90s, that would have been something on the mind as well.
Yeah, everybody thought that by 2030, China was going to take over.
Well, I mean, I hate to keep bringing up Blade Runner, but that was like the encompassing concept of Blade Runner was that like,
so it's all just Blade Runner.
It's Blade Runner.
It's Blade Runner all the way
Blade
down.
Runner sort of was the forerunner for this sort of style, which, the Fifth Element and this are just like, so what does the future look like? Well, who are the two biggest powers in the world right now? America and China. Eventually, America and China are going to get so big that they start to overlap, and then we're going to have stuff like this where it's like your whole city is going to be presented in both English and some form of Chinese, whatever predominant one beats out the others,
And yet like, they still have that fun diner.
And they still got a nice little diner, but if you look at like the money,
the train tracks,
but if you look at the money that they use and the menus and the TV screens and stuff, you have the writing that isn't English, and then you have the money that they use that is very reminiscent of. I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of Canadian money, but like it also looks, foreign to an American and being like, a coin with a hole in it. What the fuck is that all about? Like that's the kind of stuff that they've got
that futuristic thing that they have, that instead of having like a little a mini jukebox at your diner table, you have a full-on television. I was thinking about when they're watching the TV, I'm like,
it's not a full-on television. It's a tiny shitty radio with a TV attached to it.
But the thing that I was thinking of is like, you're at this diner. Do all these people have to have like a limiter on their volume, or is everybody just like yelling like, turn your fucking TV down?
It's directional sound.
Fair enough. I like that. That's cool. This opening sequence has the Red Eyes. They're a villainous group led by Artie Lang.
Yeah. There you go. That's for the viewers. That's exactly what it looks like at every table. They have.
Is that functional?
Yeah, I have to put batteries in, but it is. And then I can also take out my VHS here.
Spoon. That's awesome. So does the VHS play something?
Yeah, it does. It plays an
where
aerobics video.
How old is it?
It was made like 2 years ago.
So it's like but what's the screen like? What's the
I can show you. I can play Care Bears on and stuff. I'll show you a video later.
Okay, cool. I'm actually, that's really interesting to me because I want to know what the technology is. Probably the technology from those old those old mini TVs. They just were like, what if we repackaged it and sold it to millennials? They'll eat that shit up. And you were like, I'm a millennial.
It's like Game and Watch. Like it's not.
Oh,
jeez Louise. You guys
I know what Game and Watch
are
is.
both fucked.
I'm sorry. I just think it's a little. That's what it looked like. Anyway, whatever.
Worldmind has to go talk about Star Trek, but he's very much looking forward to watching this episode of Hey, Did You See This One? Thank you, Worldmind.
Thank you.
It's full of leather noises.
We read your
And
bit at the beginning, migraine talk, and we've been talking about the Tick a little bit, and we've been talking about, of course, Mystery Men. So feel free to watch. You can watch our show wherever, whenever we're meant to be together. I'll be there, and you'll be near, and that's the deal, my dear. Moving on. What? See, this is a really good subject because we can go real deep on the 90s.
It's true.
We were all there.
So
I hope everybody on
I
our
do-
show this
before
month
we-
was
before we-
around in the 90s.
Before we move on past Artie Lang, because he is the leader of the Red Eyes, he walks in and he goes, "Hey, we're the Red Eyes, so everybody freeze," or whatever. And I'm like, this man, Artie Lang, has
You're
the
back.
most Batman villain sounding, like not villain, but like henchman sounding voice that I've ever heard as a child, to the point that I still emulate it when I do my own Batman voice. I'm just doing Artie Lang from Mystery Men. I'm not doing anything else that I've picked up from any other piece of media.
So
And,
this movie really imprinted on you.
Oh God, it's Mystery Men is branded into my butt. It's
Like
going-
Renesmee onto Jacob.
Yes, there's a little Mystery Men logo branded into my booty, and it's this movie. I also do the Eddie Izzard voice a lot, like over and over and over. Just like that character in general is the perfect sort of henchman. The Disco Boys in general is something that I obviously connect enough with that I have decided to be a Disco Boy tonight.
I love all of the factions that he has, like all of his gangs.
Yeah,
There's
they're
just
all
something about
goofy.
it. It's like, I don't know who else has done it, but it just feels so satisfying to have all these little groups of like.
Very they're diverse, but they're also like, they're not implicitly criminal in their inspiration, which is kind of fun.
Yes. And do you know what it is? It's that you would have one of those in a style of movie, like you have like the Foot Clan, you have like the Hand, you have these like groups that are all, like very uniform, and you have like the Tracksuit Mafia, and here you just have like groups, all of them.
That's the world building element.
Tangentially, like
Where you like a meeting of the crime bosses is always great, but a meeting of the crime bosses where all their henchmen are there too. You only see
The
that
party.
in you only see that in Saturday morning cartoons, really. Like there's no X-Men or there's no MCU movie where this happens, but there should be. I wish that
there is a version of this same sort of meeting in The Dark Knight, but it's nowhere near as fun.
yeah.
And it's also almost a little bit more problematic because it's a little bit too deep seated in like reality.
The Dark Knight is way more problematic than this movie.
Yeah,
And then
I would
also-
agree.
and
This
then
movie's a cartoon. This is a cartoon.
Joker puts a pencil up a guy's face and then also breaks a fucking pool cue in half, and it's like I'm
Jason, that is
afraid-
the least problematic part of that entire sequence. I don't know if you know that, but everything else is way more problematic.
But not as problematic as The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that movie sucks though.
Batman Begins is the best one. I swear to God, people.
Oh my God.
I mean, listen, I like all those movies, but I also understand that they have issues and they're bad. But
Yeah, I like him too.
this
You
movie,
saying I don't like him?
has-
What are you saying?
I'm just saying that this movie has no problems, and I like everything about it, and I don't care if anything is problematic. Even the Blue Raja, I think that he, as problematic as he is, he's so charming and nice when he's talking to his mom and stuff. Like I get all warm in my heart, and I want to cry a little bit about
I like it when he drops
It's
the
not the
accent.
main-
He's just like, okay, Ma, like we get it. Like, I'm sorry.
You're really cheesing me. It's not the main thrust of his character, like the problematic part. Like they're not relying on that part for the joke. They're relying on like other things. The fact that he throws forks, the type of person that he is.
Yeah,
like
he's a little bit
and-
effeminate, and like he has trouble getting out of, because the shoveler and Roy, they both are able to kind of disconnect from their characters for a minute while they're talking as friends, whereas he's almost incapable of doing so, right? Like
His is a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Like he's in this character.
he has some
to
sort of trauma
escape.
that exists like elsewhere.
Yes, like picked on or a nerd or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
I
But like
think
this
he's
is his
the
escape from that.
equivalent. He's the equivalent of like a basement guy who never.
Well, he's
moved
probably
to the
like a
world,
weird
you know?
history nerd who like learned a lot about British history and like identified with a character that he maybe shouldn't have identified with in the sense that he's going to embody that character, not realizing that what he's doing is problematic. But
And that's what makes it like not egregious is how that he's a full, like a well-rounded character. And that's, I think, why these characters work for me, because they all have, they're not one note, even though you don't get a lot of screen time with most of them. Like
understand who they are and what their issues.
Well, that's what's great about this opening sequence too. Like they show up, they try to save the day, they all fail repeatedly. There's all the. Did you guys notice the weird sight gag where they knock a glass of apple juice over and it falls into a bedpan? Like the brand of
I've
comedy.
always
yes, I was like, why is that
Always
there?
It's because it looks like pee.
PP.
No. I know. I was like, in the universe, like, why would that bedpan be there? And it's because they're in an old folks home.
Yeah.
And like, I understand, but it always gives me pause of like, wait, what's the setting?
But it's
here?
like you get that, and then you also get. I think it's the Blue Raja. It might be someone else gets thrown into the bar over the bar, and then it smashes the bar. But the bar is just all like big giant containers of pills and stuff. Like it's not a
like
bar. It's just like it's like a medical bar.
I didn't even read it. Even
really
watching
cool.
it. Agreed. I didn't even read this place as an old folks home until they kept referencing it throughout the movie. When you see it, it just looks like
you didn't
a party.
They're all old people. They're all
I noticed
so
that they
old.
were all old, but it still just looks like a bat when the Joker busts in with his
Right.
Joker crew,
thought
and they're
it
like,
was
"We're
like
taking
You
over."
clearly have never
Yeah.
been in a retirement home.
This
That's
is
not
what
what
it's like
they're
every
like.
night.
I have
Jason. Every night they do this at a
We
retirement.
do bingos. We do get robbed by a.
You've got
a
three old
rogues
ladies
gallery.
going. Yeah, every night.
And then
It looked like Jabba's palace in there.
It
kinda did.
100%. And the jokes were like Star Wars level jokes too, where like the guy takes his teeth out and then he's like, "Come on, give me more." And he takes his eye out and he's like, "Hey, keep an eye out for me, would you?" And he like takes it and throws it in. And like it's just a bunch of like boom, 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 boom elderly jokes, but some of them aren't even elderly jokes. It's like, dismemberment jokes.
Guys, is this a
Yeah.
perfect movie?
Yes.
It
is.
might
I think
be.
it is.
It's
might be up
also
there.
like I didn't want to bring it up till later, but like they deal with so much toxic masculinity in this movie that it's like great. Like it's so
Ben
good. It's
Stiller's
so good.
whole character is like. an
But all of
allegory
them,
for
all
toxic-
even the shoveler gets dealt a hand.
True.
Like it's great, man. All levels of toxic masculinity are being dealt with in this movie. Anyway,
Captain Amazing shows up and saves the day. Essentially, he just comes in and handily deals with everybody. We meet Tom Waits, who is Heller. He's
Heller.
basically Tony.
Say
Tony
with me.
Stark.
Heller.
Heller.
Yeah.
Later in the movie, the shoveler even like says it that way, which I thought was a nice little touch. Where he's like, "Wait a second,"
And then he
Heller.
hands the card to the spleen, who has a very obvious speech impediment, and they put I think they put as many S's into like his title and like everything on that card as possible because it's so much it's so much more funny him reading it than anyone else reading it. Anyway,
sorry, before
Heller
we
is
move
a
on.
weapons designer. Yeah.
I just have to say, so when I was reading that thing that Burden wrote, he said that Flaming Carrot Comics was sort of his idea of like Pee-wee's Playhouse mixed with like SNL sketches.
Right.
And I just thought it was fun because now you have Paul Reubens in the movie basically playing a version, like using aspects of the Pee-wee character in this character.
He
I
even
watched,
yells like him at one point.
I watched a few interviews of the cast in this today, and Paul Reubens, when he was outside of the movie being released, was just being Paul Reubens, kind of like sheepish and quiet, and being like, I'm not that quiet and reserved all the time. Like I'm pretty fine. And like he's usually with another actor. Like I think he was with Ben Stiller, and Ben Stiller's like, "Oh no, yeah, he's great." And then it cuts to the on-set interviews, and he's just the spleen. Like he's just doing the interviews as the spleen. He's like,
well, the director's asking us to go over here, and certain things are not quite copacetic.
and you're like, oh my god. He's
See,
going
that would be
full
the method
Daniel-
acting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind on set. Like that's not particularly toxic.
But
That
like
just
I
sounds
couldn't
fun.
tell if he was method acting or if he was just doing it for the interview, which is like both are funny. Like that's pretty funny.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. I just remembered that snippet.
I think that Paul Reubens got a
one of
bad
the best
rap
actors
for what
who
he
ever
did.
lived.
Yeah, I think that his
Like,
scandal.
come on,
compared
Jason, we don't need to bring this
No,
up again.
hear me out. Hear me out. Compared to a lot of the other working actors who exist now and just get a pass, I think what he did is especially not that egregious. And I feel like we because he was sort of blackballed for a long time, we kind of missed out on Paul Reubens, because Paul Reubens is an amazing actor. And I was just looking at his IMDb, and besides being in like some shitty other movie, he was in
Matilda.
He was in
He's a
Matilda, and
cop.
he was in Dunstan Checks In. Everything else he's pretty much
Both
done
great movies
during the 90s. Dunstan Checks In was like behind an animated character. This feels like, this is kind of his like re-emerging into being a live actor again, because after this he's on screen a lot as an actor, and I'm glad, because whenever Paul Reubens shows up in anything, it's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough conversation to have, but I tend to agree with you that like if you really boil it down, like he's in an adult theater, he's like, and then the other thing with the pictures, he buys vintage photos, and it just happens to be one of the, like, you buy sets and sets of vintage photos, like, so it's not great, but like for whatever reason they hung him out to dry. Like they
I think it's because he's gay. It's
True. They like made an example out of him because of that, and it really sucks that it fucking caused him to have to go and basically be a voice actor for the rest of his career, except for late.
Yeah,
and
and
he
other
passed away.
upstanding people are like meanwhile just doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, look at fucking Rob Lowe. Look at Hugh Grant.
Okay, transition to Steven.
What
with a
did
couple
Hugh Grant
squeaks.
do?
Give us a couple
Yeah.
squeaks.
Squeak me, daddy.
This is my impression of Paul Reubens in an adult theater.
No. No. I don't even want to know what the context is on that squeak.
He's trying to get his leather pants off so he can jerk off.
Speaking of egregious, the police in this movie remind me of the police from the movie The Mask a little bit, and also the police in every universe suck. They suck in our universe. They suck in every movie. They only don't suck in movies where they're like it's propaganda.
They're the heroes.
Yeah, essentially. But then it's propaganda. The Bad Boys in the movie The Bad Boys, starring Will Smith.
Okay, but this movie also is just like telling us that, and it's great. It's fun.
These fucking police,
They're
and they're only in
doofuses.
the one scene, and they're assholes, and then that's that. They make
You
their
never see a
statement about-
police officer again. Yeah.
exactly, which
No,
is
this
weird
is-
that they.
This is also where you get our glorious introduction to Ben Stiller's ability to think of something really good to say a couple of seconds too late. Like he
Sweet
always says
dreams,
something
Lilac.
that's all right, but he doesn't say it in time. And
Or he says the
it
like
never
a
gets
bunch. He's
old.
kind of.
I
It's
don't
kind of like
need to see which
Rickyisms
way
from the
wind
Trailer Park.
shines.
Yeah, it's kind of like Rickyisms from the Trailer Park Boys, where he's like mixing all
Mixed
these ideas
metaphors.
together. Yeah.
Well, when the bowler's reading him to filth when they're trying to make him angry,
Yeah.
and she's like, "It's just confusing mixed metaphors. Your
Doesn't that make
penmanship
you
is
angry?
atrocious.
Your penmanship
You
is
dress."
atrocious. You dress in the manner of a male prostitute. They're all good burns. They burn, and he's not getting mad, which is good for him.
No,
He's getting
He's-
over his toxic.
He's having some self-reflection moments. Speaking of not having self-reflection, Captain Amazing, we get that scene where he gets in the car, he's all pissed off, and he sort of it's revealed to us that all of his villains are gone, so that's why he's losing his deals.
What's the
his
first one who
endorsement
dies?
deals.
It's one of the funniest lines of this movie. Get Deathman. Deathman is dead.
Deathman is dead.
These are things that I'm like hooting and hollering as a 10-year-old, being like, "This is the funniest shit I ever heard in my life." Deathman is dead.
Well, all of the
That's so
Sphinx,
funny.
the Sphinx's gimmick, where like he's an amazing superhero, but also he really just like, if you have the power, then the power has you, like that kind of thing.
But
over and over.
Did cut those guns in half with his mind.
That's true. That's true. I think that I have a. Can I get the theory theme? I have a little theory.
Yeah.
I have a little theory. Universe of the Mystery Men. This isn't a long theory, but in the universe of the Mystery Men, you can only use your power in like a. You know how in like Marvel movies, a lot of times people discover new abilities because they're under great duress. The Mystery Men can only use their powers under like the most extreme duress. But even then, I think the Mystery Men can only use their powers like once a year.
I think that in the Mystery Men, there are only 3 people who actually have powers. Everyone else is just like the power of your heart within you.
Invisible Boy has them.
He's one of them, yeah.
But he
the
has
bowler
the power
has
to
her
disappear
dad.
completely.
That's another one.
True.
And
even
then,
Captain Amazing, like he's got the power of
He's
money.
Batman.
He's
Iron Man. But he's Iron Man.
He has a
Batman.
jetpack.
And,
yeah.
He's all the shitty billionaire characters.
But
we
like
know
Tom
about.
Waits Heller is also kind of Iron Man because he makes all those. He's like an inventor.
Yes, he's more like a
his Via con Dios. I could completely I did not remember that was there, and I cracked up. I love a good Point Break.
I think that
when he goes by,
I mean, he's really the funniest character in the movie to me. Like everything that he says is golden. Once we're reintroduced to him,
I forgot about him.
When you come in and he's using one of those water harps or whatever, like in his and there's a bunch of chickens around him. You're like, okay, this is already setting up to be great. But then like everything he says to them during this adventure through his laboratory, I guess, which is like a rundown carnival, is amazing. Where he's like, I can trick that out with a clamshell and a 4-year warranty. Like he's like all these
leather case and a 4-year warranty.
To your point, Jason, about your theory, the flaming carrot guy, like his superpowers came about. He was like, I think, a carpet layer, and he read 5,000 books in one sitting, and then became a superhero by putting on a carrot mask. And that was just.
I had my character that I wrote in high school called Spider Hero. His thing was that he gets some radioactivity gets on a Spider-Man comic, and the Spider-Man comic bites a normal person. So he becomes Spider Hero, but the joke is kind of like he's not a direct ripoff. He's been bitten by a radioactive Spider-Man comic. So
I feel like the power would be that in that situation would be that you can write really mediocre stories for.
And then I did, and I wish I had that. I also had a thing where there was Bat Stan and Stan Bat, where a bat and a human's brains like switch. So you have a really intelligent bat, which is pointless, and a really like a man with a bat. No, but a human with a bat, like Bruce Wayne with the intelligence of a bat was sort of the joke. Like I was trying to write these. Like I grew up. I used to hang around comic book shops.
Some real Mad Magazine shit,
right
there, Jason.
And I used to hang around comic book shops, and I used to leaf through all like the dollar bin was filled with these comic books, and I used to leaf through them and read them, and all of these weird like.
I mean, it's not that I also wrote a comic when I was young as well.
I too wrote a comic. My first job was at a comic book store. Fun fact.
I had a character called Nornot the Defender who was like, it was basically a ripoff of Star Wars kind of, but the thing is when the dad is like, I'm your father, come to the dark side. No, we have cable TV. Nornot's like, okay, yep, I'm in. That's the twist. I
just wrote a lot of Rogue and Gambit fan fiction as well.
You just wrote Rogue and Gambit fucking fanfics.
Mine was a team up. It was called the Eccentric 8, and there was 8 people. They were like my 8 best friends, and we all had different superpowers that we got from a chemical explosion in our our chemistry class. Because the chemistry teacher was like, I'm gonna try and do something that's never been done ever, and she like poured it all in, and we all blew up. And then she became the villain, and like I liked her as a chemistry teacher, so I like went to her and I showed her all the panels, and I was like, "Is it okay if I do this?" And she was like, "This is amazing. This is so good." I was like, "Yes, okay.
That's awesome.
Now that I have your blessing, you're the villain."
I had some writing similarly from high school where I was writing a novel.
Her henchmen were called the periodic table, and they all had different like.
That's
tables
really
on
good
there.
actually.
That's pretty good.
And but my story was heavily influenced by Final Fantasy VIII, which was like one of the probably the newest game at the time. So it was all this like interpersonal like drama, and then they would like go fight battles, you know.
I like how this has become like nostalgia. Back in the 90s when we were kids, so
we all decided
watching
to make our
Mystery
own
Men
comics.
and writing comics. I did like X-Men stories, but like because with X-Men you could just like create. There's so many types of X-Men, so I wouldn't center it in the X-Men universe, but it would be like I wouldn't be with
Adjacent.
Cyclops and whatever. It would be like a different group of X-Men that I've created and whatnot.
That's smarter because like that kind of thing can be picked up if it becomes popular enough. They're like, let's give you money.
That's why I'm not going into any details.
Right.
Yeah, like
Wait a minute,
Rogue.
they stole all your characters.
Rogue was originally an Image Comics character from Generation X, and then they were like, "That's a great character."
I had
Look
a friend.
at her boobies.
I'll give you like a small example of like, so there was 8 of us. We all had different powers, but one of my friends, he really liked like shitty horror movies. But he also like didn't cut his nails often enough. So when he would grab you or touch you, sometimes he would like cut you with his nail, and you'd be like, "Ah, God, you fucker, cut your nails." So his power was that his name was the Cuticle, and he just had like slightly too long fingernails that could cut through anything.
Well, that's what Casanova Frankenstein's power
That's
is.
true. Yeah,
But also,
you're right.
Casanova Frankenstein, the reason he hangs with the Disco Boys is because he's got a coke nail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you put that together?
I
on
did,
this
yes.
watch. On this watch, I was
What
like,
about
"Oh,
Sam
the reason why he's
Raimi,
got the
like,
coke nail."
nail vision when the nail is like going like from the camera, it's like attached to the
Yeah.
bottom of the camera.
So we've gotten 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah,
right?
we need to move.
No, but I don't have a lot of notes. So basically, they talk about Casanova Frankenstein has been in a mental institution. Casanova Frankenstein is now free to go because that one villain that they only she's from stuff, but she's only in this movie for like 2 seconds.
Are you talking about his psychiatrist?
The psychiatrist character who's like,
but when I was a
a bunch of
kid, you know how like the arms of her glasses are like thick and translucent, and they like project light through. When I was a kid, I just for some reason thought she had like a line painted across her eyes, like this like orange line, and I was like, that is so fucking sick. Like, that's so cool that she just instead of doing regular eye makeup, she just puts a line like she's in Blade Runner. I'm gonna say Blade Runner.
It was like very Joker Harley Quinn, right? Like
yeah.
When
but
was
then this is when you get Lance
Batman
Hunt
animated series
comes in and he's like, "Am I too late to say what my vote is?" And everyone's like, "Oh, Lance Hunt." After like the doctors are like, "This is outrageous," and he turns to another guy, and the other guy's like, "Yes, yes, it is."
So is Captain Amazing's alter ego a lawyer?
He's
like
a billionaire lawyer.
Yeah, okay.
Or something.
Yeah.
Did you know Nightwing like is a lawyer? Barbara's also a
now,
lawyer. Anyway, whatever.
Dick Grayson becomes a lawyer later.
He went to law school.
So there's like all this like while he's Nightwing, there's all these like cop or lawyer drama shit in DC Comics. That seems a little bit too smart for DC.
No, he just has that knowledge.
Oh, so he's not a detective. He's just knows the law.
We also need to note that Lance Hunt pulls out a letter as though he's reading a letter from Lance Hunt or from Captain Amazing, being like, "Let's ring in the new millennium by letting Casanova Frankenstein go free." But he's like reading a note that is just his grocery list, and it's like grape soda and like all these, whatever.
And he only wants Casanova Frankenstein out so that he can get sponsorships, right?
So
like that's
so he can put him back in jail. which backfires immediately.
Amazingly.
Amazingly.
It's amazing. Captain Amazing.
I for most of this movie thought that it was Stellan Skarsgård, but it is, of course, Geoffrey Rush who plays Casanova Frankenstein. I was like, wow, Stellan Skarsgård looked great in 1999. He didn't. It was Geoffrey Rush the whole time. I think.
You're like, why do I want to fuck Stellan Skarsgård? It's like, oh wait, I don't.
Whenever I
And you're
hear
like,
Greg,
do I?
whenever I hear Greg Kinnear, I can only think of Greg Kinnear, the weird. In BoJack Horseman, one of them writes a play called Greg Kinnear, and it's Greg Kinnear in it. It's very funny. Anyway,
I told this on the show before that I have an irrational hate of Greg Kinnear.
Yes, you have.
well, he
And
does. So
I mean, this is
Which
also
was
one of
great.
those movies where I get it though, because I'm like, he probably hates Greg Kinnear because of this movie, because he's such an asshole.
It's actually not this movie. It's because of As Good as It Gets. But that movie came up before this movie. So when I saw him playing a dickhead, I was like, fucking Greg Kinnear.
He plays a dickhead in almost everything he's
pretty
in.
much everything. I think it's one of those things where, like,
By all accounts, though, he's pretty nice in real life.
he's
Like,
probably a great guy. Okay, Greg, look, I'm talking to you right now, buddy.
I think
I think we're good. I've
did he
hated you
do
for
the
30
voice
years.
for Greg Kinnear? Let's see.
Probably. Greg Kinnear is in the most recent season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, playing like a waiter or like a lawyer or something, like some crazy small bit part. Like he'll do anything. He's probably
speaking
a
of Geoffrey Rush, though, he's an Academy Award-winning actor.
Geoffrey
who-
Rush is. Of
He-
course.
It is
Geoffrey
voiced by
Rush.
Greg Kinnear.
I mean, it sounds like something Greg Kinnear would do. Like he'd be like, "Of course I'll do that. That sounds hilarious."
Yeah, BoJack had like a who's who of guest
Yeah.
stars. Like
One of the characters who does like the dog man in that show he's the squeegee man. Like, do you feel it's power? That's the guy who does the dog in Horseman.
I thought the
Mr. Peanut
dog
Butter?
guy was. I thought
Yeah.
Mr. Peanut Butter was Paul F. Tompkins.
It is Paul F. Tompkins.
Well, then I'm thinking of a different stand-up comedian.
Paul F. Pumpkins.
Yeah, Paul F. Bumpkins.
The boys argue
speaking-
about their powers in a diner. Ben Stiller.
Wait, I wanted to talk about
it's
Geoffrey
fucking
Rush for a
amazing.
second.
Yeah, of course. We're at the diner now. I've moved us to the diner.
Geoffrey Rush is an Academy Award-winning actor who definitely does whatever the fuck he wants, because he's some of the most likable and interesting characters that have ever danced across. He's like a Gary Oldman or a Sam Jackson. Like he's got this level of he's got a level of prestige where he can do something like this and be like, this isn't going to affect me even if it sucks. Like, I don't care.
Well, he does Pirates of the Caribbean. That's a
Yeah.
great character. And then like you have the King's Speech, which is like Oscar bait movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just
but also a good movie.
and he's a character actor.
He
Like
is.
he's just a very famous,
Which
well-known
Gary
character
Oldman
actor.
also, yeah. I was confused when I just watched Rise, whatever the second Planet of the Apes, and Gary Oldman's just in it, and I'm like, what are you doing, slumming it? Then the movie's great, and then I was like, oh, okay, not.
I
slumming
love
it.
Tinker
Great movie.
Tailor Soldier Spy.
I like
have
that
to
you
say.
think that the Planet of the Apes movies is slumming it for some reason.
I thought that they were gonna be bad, dude. I thought that the two middle Apes movies were just like garbage, and then they were both fucking tearjerker. Fucking.
You know, when they make a movie
spectacles.
and then they make another one and then another one after that, like it doesn't mean it's like a Saw syndrome. Especially when it's that
Or
type of-
Sharknado.
it means that they're
Always
good.
Halloween. Every movie worse than the last. Nope, that third monkey movie made me tear up. Steve Zahn as Bad Ape. Ooh, baby, that got some tears out of me.
Yeah. Jason's
Steve Zahn
favorite
plays-
character of the last 10 years, Bad Ape.
Bad Ape,
Love Bad
played by
Ape.
Steve Zahn.
Oh my god, Steve Zahn plays a cat named Snowball, I think. Just carry on, guys. I have to
Anyway,
look
but
this up.
they're at the diner. They have some diner moments. They have that
This is when
like
we-
Ben Stiller's like, yeah,
we-
obviously he's Lance Reddington, 10
Lance
Lansington.
Hunt. Yeah, he's like,
Lance Hunt.
it's because he is Lance Hunt. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. He wears glasses and he's like, he takes them off when he transforms. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't be able to see.
Wouldn't
And
be able
you're
to
like,
see.
you're like, this is great that they're establishing in this world of superheroes that there are people that are so naive that are, they're willing to believe that because they've convinced themselves of that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want
It's
to
the Clark Kent
face
thing.
truth,
When he's
right?
holding the two washers, though,
I
later
was
in the
laughing
movie, and
I was
puts them
laughing out
up.
loud at that.
So he puts them.
It's
He's
in the
holding them.
background too.
Yeah, so he sees like him with the glasses, and then the shuffler just asks him, "Are you Lance?
Himes?
Whatever." And he's like, "Yes." No, I'm kidding.
Just kidding. I've always wanted to do that.
If he says, "I've always wanted to do that," like, why? Why would you always want to do that as Captain Amazing?
Okay,
because
Steve
he doesn't
Zahn
get to.
plays a cat named Monty, and Snowball is his best friend, also a cat in Stuart Little. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Steve Zahn.
Ben
cat.
Stiller goes after the Disco Boys.
We also,
goes
I just
home.
want to talk about, like, there's a part where they're all, this is another a moment where we get a great sort of Ben Stiller comedic, his whole shtick, I guess, up until this point and beyond and up until now is that, like, his characters are meant to be grounded in reality, but he has like a little bit more insight into comedic timing than a regular human would have. But he does always have those moments of like having to bumble around a little bit before he can reach that comedic gold. And we get it again here where he's trying to, he's like, I didn't know I was hanging around with Lazy Boy and hold on, everybody wait, I got it, it's coming.
The
recliner.
recliner.
And the recliner.
That's what...
yeah, the recliner. And he's like so proud of it. And I gotta say, it is a very good line, but everyone's gone before they can hear it.
There's something about these 90s movies that have that. Like Kevin Smith also has the where he's like shooting insults and then he's like, and he's gone. Like, but he keeps yelling until he leaves.
I mean, today they would call it overworked, right? Because like you look at movies now that are comedies and everything is meant to feel very naturalistic. And if it doesn't, it's bad. Or if it's like too funny, people are like, that's overworked and you didn't let them improv enough and you get them into it enough. But like this, because of everything being so overblown and extra, it feels cartoonish, and you want those sort of like strategically timed and like mathematically equated times of like silence before the joke comes, because everything feels that way. Everything feels calculated. And like even behind them, like while this is happening, there's a blimp that's moving behind them that says like Captain Amazing has saved the city again. Like it's like slowly like panning over the blimp, and like if you just pay attention to the blimp alone is funny, but the scene that's happening in front of you is also just as funny, if not funnier. I don't know, maybe the blimp is funnier, but you guys tell me.
Ben Stiller.
No, that one. Oh,
well, yeah, no, I'm with you. I like that. The jokes. It's like how Dan Harmon writes his comedy, like Community and Rick and Morty, where like the thing that's happening is happening, but there's all this stuff happening in the background, or these little callbacks all the time that you can weave a bigger story. That's what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, where the world building in this movie, even though it's such a small scale story, it feels like you're in this huge universe of things happening, which I really enjoy. It's one of the things that keeps me engaged in a lot of TV, especially now that they're adapting video game movies properly to television with The Last of Us and
video
Fallout.
game movies to television.
Video games to television.
What the hell are you talking about?
Now that they adapted what the fuck, House of the Dead to a TV series. Just kidding.
Yeah, we all want to see House of the Dead, the TV series,
movie, the TV
11
show,
episodes long. It's all first person.
My point is knowing when you just do a little reference to something from the game. Yeah, I think that you're able to open so much in your mind that you don't have to save right into the show.
My point here is that like the foreground comedy that we're getting and we appreciate, and it is funny. There is also a joke happening in the background that will almost always.
What Noel brought up with him holding up the little washers to be like, is that trying to put the glasses on him. It does become a joke in the movie, but like for a long time during that sequence, they're having a conversation, right? And you just see the shoveler in the background going like, it's good. You're right. It's good.
Also, the Disco Boys, the introduction of the Disco Boys, everything about the Disco Boys is the best. It's the best gang out of all the gangs. It's the best gang.
They're fighting dance choreography together in the hallway.
And even just like the way that like Izzard comes out and is like ding 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 and like goes around and then like goes up to the phone and like everything about this is also very queer and good, like in like a very sort of like sexual way. Everything they do is kind of sexual, which I'm into. And they go up to the phone and they just like knock the phone off the receiver and then just start like aggressively hitting the numbers before they pick up the receiver.
Well, I mean, the disco...
Have you ever done that? It's very liberating. I've done it because of this movie.
I don't think I can say I have.
Well,
but I mean, like, the death of disco came about because of racism and homophobia. So, like, the fact that the disco is so, like, gay coded in this movie makes sense. And
the day disco died,
like it's
such a funny thing to me because it was a bunch of people who liked bands like shitty white dudes with long hair who wore like Led Zeppelin shirts, went to an arena and brought all these disco records and burned them.
They damaged the baseball stadium as well because vinyl doesn't burn well.
No, it melts into a blob. And the thing is that's funny to me is disco never really died. It just evolved into new wave and then it evolved into EDM and then disco came back through that, like disco never died. It just sort of changed, and it would have changed anyway, the same way rock and roll has changed, the same way any kind of genre of music changes. But I've personally always loved disco. I think disco is a fantastic genre of music. I think that the Saturday Night Fever vision or view of disco is kind of shitty because the people in Saturday Night Fever are all shitty, like jockey weirdos. Like think of John Travolta and his crew in that movie. They're all kind of shitty people. That version of disco sucks. But the version of disco that's just like going out to a nightclub, and whether it be like a gay club or whether it be just going to a non-gay club or a gay club not gay. I realized that I was sounding bad.
What are you working on there, bud?
I know that's what happened there.
Lazy boy and the recliner.
Lazy boy and the recliners. My point is music is just music, I think, and anybody can enjoy music.
Speaking of disco and other things, the writer of the comic, what's his name?
Bob
Burton. He was saying that
Burton.
He would have liked, if he could do it again, Paul Thomas Anderson to do this movie, to direct it. How different.
I mean, I feel like that's what anyone would say about any movie, right?
I think it's because he liked Boogie Nights.
Right.
And he thought
so he wanted the whole thing to be like disco-y.
I guess so.
It is,
like, that vibe. I don't. But I feel like the disco thing, like other things in this movie, it is making fun of it, but it's with love. Like this movie, whereas Shrek is entirely built on hatred, like this movie is built with a lot of like love for the genre and like
absolutely
delicacy with the things.
Yeah, there's nothing that feels abrasive or corrosive. It all feels like it's embracive of everything it's doing. Like even the stuff that it's making fun of, like the Schumacher things. It's like, no, we're not gonna make fun of that. We're just gonna utilize that as something that's part of our world. And we're gonna be like, look at the nipples on that giant statue holding up that bridge or whatever. Like they're never gonna like make fun of it. It's just there. It's part of the world.
I was watching this through a lens that was sort of like the Joel Schumacher thing, but also imagine if this was a Guardians of the Galaxy and instead of it being like 70s music, it is 70s disco music. And if you remade this now, like if you just straight up remade this movie, you would have like a soundtrack come out on vinyl that is the Mystery Men and it's all disco tracks. You know, like that's how I was kind of watching this.
My favorite.
And my vote is a beers.
My two favorite gangs are the frat boys. I think they're hilarious when they're like, "Can we bring the brewskis?" when they're moving to the other room, and he's like, "Yes,
Starring
of course, you can
Michael
bring the
Bay.
Yes, you may
brewskis."
absolutely bring the brewskis.
Bring the
Yes.
brewskis.
And
Michael
then
Bay.
the business guys who will downsize
Tobacco.
anything. It
Yeah,
was
led by Big Tobacco. Fantastic.
amazing. It's just this movie's so fun. Ugh.
Big tobacco.
Casanova
I don't like the love
Frankenstein.
story. Can I say that? The love story
Well,
is
the
weird.
love story, it feels fucking jammed in, and she is sort of
Is
the
it studio
linchpin.
notes?
I don't know, because it feels a lot like we need to get the rage guy to stop being such a he's like an incel kind of energy before incels were a thing. He's got that like he's like a milady guy a little bit, because she's like, "What's your name?" and he's like, Phoenix Dirk
lighter, or whatever.
Dark
A
lighter.
poser
Dark.
wannabe.
Well,
Yeah.
so this is also the crushing, the mutilation almost of like incel energy and toxic masculinity, is that he's even seeing his own shitty traits presented through her physical reactions, being like, "You're gross. Like, I was intrigued by you for a moment, but now you've gone back into that shitty
I think that's what it
behavior
is.
that I don't like."
I think she literally is like,
It's not I think that's what it is. That is what it is. It's what it is. Man.
She's a
I agree
foil
with
for
you.
that character.
Yeah, and it's like, I could be into you if you just drop the act, and as soon as he drops the act, she's like, "I like you," and that's what it is a lot of the time. And that's the thing about incels, is like, nobody could like me, I'm dumb and ugly, and now I have to band together with other people like me on the internet and hate women.
And
That's it's a slippery slope.
So unlike other movies of this time period, she doesn't change him. He doesn't wear her down with his bullshit. Like, there's a
He
lot
realizes
of those,
in real
yeah,
time.
there's a lot of those tropes that just aren't present, even though the love story feels like maybe it's also a commentary, like there has to be a love story in this, but we're gonna do it our way. And then she just kind of shows up at the end, like a little bit Martha-y, but still.
Yeah, they kidnap her, I guess, for the stakes to be risen. There's no real
for
reason
him to
her
get angry.
Yeah.
Like,
but I also feel like the reason that this is happening is it is a Ben Stiller vehicle at the end of the day, but we also get a lot of like really nice, wholesome home moments with the Blue Raja and the Shoveler that we never get from him. And the idea is that he doesn't have a home. Like, he's nothing. Like, we never see him go home. We see him,
the lone wolf rides alone.
there's an implication of this movie where he actually is homeless, and he's just like goes into a garage and sleeps next to his bike. Like, we don't know what his house looks like, and then he goes and just has that lady being like, junk it or whatever, and you're like, oh no. And it's very sad, because, you know, as much as we want to see these people triumph over evil, we know that the Blue Raja has his mom who cares very deeply for him, as we see at the end when she gives him the silverware and everything. And we know that the Shoveler has a beautiful wife and family who he, you know, like, has an extremely good relationship with, but it's like,
they're so cute.
They are also, that family is so cute.
So loving. I mean, we haven't
When
talked
she
about
puts
the
the rubber
very
gloves
much.
on his face, I'm like, I want someone to put rubber gloves on my face.
We haven't talked much about the Shoveler, but he is one of the best characters in
He's
a
so
superhero
funny,
movie.
yeah.
You know who he is. You know
William
who he
H.
is.
Macy, yeah. We've seen
He's
him in other
Captain.
movies.
He's Captain America. He's like the
He's the working man. He's the blue collar Captain America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, for some reason, I like really liked the Shoveler. I don't know why. Maybe William H. Macy is just amazing, which he is. But I remember as a kid being like, wow, and he's got a black family. That's really interesting. You don't see that often. Because in 1999, I feel like they were playing that as a joke. Nowadays, It's not a
As a
joke.
joke.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
At first,
when I was a
had that.
kid, I thought
That's because you came from rural Nova Scotia, where everyone was white.
No. I see what point
Fair.
you're trying to make, and I wasn't sure when I was watching it if the movie was like, "See, we're
That's
progressive."
what I mean.
Like
That's
putting
what I
it out
mean.
there. It's a very, very intentional choice.
For sure.
And we can't know, but like on this watch, I didn't find it like I didn't have that
Absolutely
reaction
not.
that I had then.
In
And I think
2024, it doesn't play like, oh, get it? He's white and he's got a black
I remember
wife.
when I was a
Get
kid,
it?
I had a very good friend who had a black mom and a white dad. And like,
Yeah.
so for me, I was like, this is just a family.
is
Like
pretty
I never
normal.
felt that way, but I definitely
I-
now can see
I
the...
happen to be mixed race myself.
Wait a minute.
But-
Are you telling me you have a black mom and a white dad over here?
No, actually, that's not the combination. But
Oh, it's a different combination. Oh, jeez.
but I do think there's something to what Jason is saying, though. I do think it was played a little bit as a bait and switch.
In
not necessarily a
1999,
joke,
I
but
can see it being
definitely
played as
Yes.
what you would call as people now scream from the tops of their, I don't know, internet connections, wokeness, like that is like
This movie's so woke, man.
it's like the equivalent to like making a
It's
black
like-
president, and you're like,
Is it
a black
proto-woke?
president?
proto
I guess it's
woke.
proto woke, but like at the same time,
Proto-woke.
like it's wokeness is not.
That's a
bad.
month.
I don't know.
No, wokeness.
That's a month
isn't-
of movies.
But that's
Proto
a whole.
wokeness.
That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, we're all right here on this. On hey,
But
did
the
you see this
but
one?
the shoveler is also like he is Captain America, but then he's making that egg salad sandwich, and that speech that he makes with the egg salad sandwich of like, am I gonna like work hard or am I gonna kill myself with this egg salad sandwich over time because it's got such high cholesterol? Like, and then my favorite line in the whole movie, I think, is when they kill Captain Amazing, and they're like, we killed him, and he's like, I was standing over here.
Yeah, what do you mean? I was standing over.
Also,
here.
side note about the cholesterol thing. That's so 90s to be like
It's so
cholesterol's bad
90s.
for you. It's like
In
such an
eggs.
old
That
and
is, yeah.
antiquated health nonsense that was in
That's
the
also
90s.
like a Simpsons joke, isn't it? Where it's like, I just saved you from dying of cholesterol, and he's like, well, you know, scientists don't agree. If
Scientists don't agree on.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to move the plot along a little bit?
All right, is this
Sorry.
about more Disco Boys or
Casanova Frankenstein and the Disco Boys.
What a great
Uh,
name,
Lee.
Casanova Frankenstein.
Shit.
La 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 la. You can only play licensed music for like 3 seconds, man.
I did it. I did it for 3 exact seconds.
Oh fuck. They so I wrote Roy the Rager. I couldn't get his name until I was like Mr. Furious or whatever. Roy the Rager sees they're doing. He follows them, the Disco Boys, and he sees they're doing some weird plot where they just blow up the asylum, and Captain Amazing shows up, and
He's got a
tries
lot
to
of good
arrest Casanova and gets chloroform for his trouble. And then we find out.
Are we not going to talk about this scene at all? This like the meeting of the old guard and villains of the city. Like this is the stage setting for Champion City as a whole, right? Like why do the mystery men exist? It's this kind of old fighting, right? Like it's a billionaire who's grown too powerful and become too well known that he's now inflated by corporations.
Perfect.
And a man who literally went insane in prison because he was surrounded
Steve and
by...
I had a conversation many months ago where I said I'm going to take less notes. And then Steve was like, great, then I can interject and say the things I want to say. But every time I take less notes now, he's like, are we just going to move past this? And it's all you
I
have to
took
do is
no
say,
notes for this
I'm
movie.
going to fill
I
fill
have
in.
some notes.
I know, but the whole point, what I'm trying to say is, Steve, you're supposed to just say, I'll interject and fill in some stuff. Not like,
Are we going to
gonna-
just sit here and let Jason tell me what I am and I'm not supposed to do? I think that
No.
we need to talk about this interaction.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought Noel wanted to say something. You were pointing your fingers around, so I thought you wanted to say something.
I think I was going to talk about Batman, so just carry on.
I mean, it is a very Batman thing, right? Where he like, What he says something like what does Casanova say? He's like standing by the fireplace and he's like, "Ah, yes, a very good Tom Collins." He's like almost like he's scripted out what he's gonna say. Like he knows Captain Amazing is gonna blast through the door, and he does. And he says, "Even when it's sucked by a scum with like you," or something like that. And then they have their back and forth. I want to know what you guys feel about this back and forth, and what does it feel like to you? Does it feel comic booky or does it feel comedic in the writing?
It felt very much like
it's meant to be very funny, and it is quite funny,
right? But it also feels very much like Captain Amazing is going through the motions to just keep his endorsements, and he never reveals it to Frankenstein that I just got you released so I'd have somebody to like collect and be on a billboard again. What was his end game with that? That's a question. He puts Casanova Frankenstein. Yeah, he puts Casanova Frankenstein back in prison, and then what? His stay of execution is just like a week.
He's thinking very short term, right? Like he releases Casanova only because he knows Casanova's going to do something. And then he puts him away.
Here's a plot. If Casanova, if Captain Amazing doesn't die in this movie, or if they redo this, I think it would have been better for him to vilify the mystery men when they're lowly superheroes.
At this point, he doesn't even know. He can't even remember them. He doesn't remember them.
I know. I'm saying like a reboot, like a reimagining of this story. Instead of bringing out some old villain, maybe he does that, but he also tries to vilify the mystery men and make them look like they're doing bad deeds. Then he becomes the villain himself. That would be an interesting.
I think that doesn't. Sorry, Noel, go ahead. Yeah.
I thought it was just a commentary on Batman's villains and the rogues galleries and how they keep going to Arkham and they keep coming out and they keep going to Arkham.
Absolutely.
And he's just trying to get into that cycle, but then Casanova blows up the Arkham. So now you can't do that.
Now you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like, so that scene to me, like I didn't take too much stock in it because it's just, for me, it just sets the scene of like, okay, so we know that Captain Amazing is too big for his britches and he thinks that he's in control of the situation. He for sure isn't. He like, because he's put away everybody he thinks he's got, like, he was just like, I know everything that you've got. And then like completely misses like the chloroform thing. So he's just like a gross narcissistic dude who just underestimates this guy who he's let out. But the end game I thought was just your usual superhero thing. Like your rogues gallery is just going to keep coming back, right?
Yeah.
Right. I agree with what you're saying. What I think though is that he is like incredibly short-sighted. Like he doesn't think to next week. He thinks about, okay, how can I get my numbers up in the next 2 days?
Well, he's got a manager and a publicist or whatever the hell that's supposed
to be
doing
the boys.
That. And then he's gone rogue and tried to make the decisions, but clearly his like whoever's negotiating the deals and all that, it's not him, right? Like he's a very sanitized, put together package by much smarter people. He is like a corporate creation basically.
Yeah. This movie as like a season of The Boys would have been cool. Obviously they can't do it now because of where Homelander, like where the story is, but this like Homelander being Captain Awesome and Captain Amazing,
I think it's funny they call him Captain Awesome.
And I think an interesting season of The Boys would have been like if the kids from the university were starting to do like crime fight and he was like, I don't like that, and then they do basically just the Mystery Men movie, right, but a little bit more hardcore. I think that would have been
that's kind of what happens at the end of that first season is like he shows up to be like, no, you guys are not
true.
Yeah. Anyway, Mystery Men and The Boys are
they're
two completely different,
almost 25 years apart.
But they're like they're very different entities as well. Like they're
the thing that I was reading, like the most recent, it was because of The Boys. Like someone went back into Mystery Men because they were like, okay, so The Boys is a thing now. let's talk about like an ancient ancestor of that sort of thing, and then they wrote this little piece about that. So the fact that you guys are drawing that line, that
I think Mystery
they're
Men and
related,
the
man.
Boys
Mystery Men
share a
is
lot
like
of DNA
is
more so than like any Marvel or DC.
Mystery Men is
property.
like the beginnings of the boy. It's like the same idea at the same
Yeah.
it's different, but it is. But
I think Flaming Carrot was Dark Horse.
Yeah, it's
Dark Horse
all of that
Comics?
stuff became Dark Horse Comics, which is DC side.
Oh, I just mean like intellectually, like in terms of like a thought process for like a superhero. What can a superhero be? Like, what if a superhero became controlled by a corporation? That's what The Boys is about. That's what this is about. And this is about like, what about the cool people that are just like you and me? Like when I watch this movie, I don't for a minute think that I couldn't be one of those superheroes in that backyard when they're doing their quest to bring someone in. Like I could be there and they could choose me.
Pencilhead.
I could be
But also
son of
think
Pencilhead.
Think of the idea that like
That's Doug Jones, by the way. Doug Jones, everyone.
Think of the idea that like The Mask, the comic book version, which also I believe is Dark Horse, is very adult, and Flaming Carrot was like for adults then, and this is sort of a homogenized version of those comic book characters, the way the Mask movie is a homogenized. Like I want to see the Mystery Men done the adult version, like a Deadpool style, where they
I like this.
where
I
they
like the way it is. I like the way
well, I
it
like
is,
this
the way it
movie,
is.
but I want to see a more hardcore, like you think we're gonna get a Mask movie that's like right from the
Listen,
source
you
material?
have the boys. You have the boys already. You don't need another the boys. The Mystery Men is its own thing. Like you don't need to worry about having
I'm
their
talking
heads
more so
blown out
about
the
like
back of their fucking ears or whatever. Like
the source material being made. Like Deadpool was homogenized, and they made the shitty Wolverine version of him, the X-Men Origins Wolverine version of him. But then Marvel made an R-rated. Well, Fox made an R-rated. Once they got the rights, that R-rated version of Deadpool. I'd like to see an R-rated version of Mystery Men that's more based off the comic books now, like made now with better better special effects, and have a Flaming Carrot character. Did you see those monkeys in those Planet of the Apes movies? Wow.
I'm gonna go to the washroom. I'll be right
CGI
back.
nowadays, I'll tell you, I don't know the difference anymore.
Unless it's Marvel, then you can really tell.
Then it's bad. Then they're filming in that weird fucking TV dome.
So to your thing of like you want to see this movie make a choice on whether it's an adult movie or a kids movie. In the thing that I was reading, I really wish I remember where it was and who it was that wrote it. So sorry. But they were saying that the marketing for this movie, no one could decide what it was. Like, do we market it towards adults? Do we market it towards kids? And so the marketing was really bad. And that's one of the reasons they say that it did so poorly in theaters. I mean, it also came out against The Sixth Sense, The Iron Giant, and The Blair Witch Project. So,
which are all like hits, like certified fucking hits.
Exactly. Like classics that we look back to now. Like, was there anything bigger than The Sixth Sense and The Blair Witch Project at the time?
The Blair Witch Project, like, was so big that people thought, like, it redefined the mockumentary genre.
It was a masterclass.
It invented
in
the found footage genre.
Yes,
of
but
movies.
then they also had that website that you could go to that like had the Blair Witch, like it's just like absolutely amazing marketing that was done so simply. Like the next masterclass in marketing would be Barbie. Like like that.
But it's literally you already have the 100 years of Barbie as the, you know what I mean? So I'm with you. It's kind of like a UHF Fantastic Comedy goes up against fucking Batman 89. You're done. You're cooked, buddy. Yeah. Weird Al, you should have come out the next weekend.
And even the previous Giant, I think couldn't. But you have a kids movie, and then you have like a family movie, like basically, and then you've got like an edgier like teen movie. There's no place for Mystery Men to fit in like any of those markets. Like maybe if Iron Giant hadn't come out, then you would have this in place, and the kids would have gone to see this, but they didn't. They went to see Iron Giant. your adults went to see The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Teenagers who also could have been brought into the Mystery Man world went to see the Blair Witch Project. Like
Well,
it's
that's a kind of a good question. Like, who's this movie for?
There's
me.
like a and me. Yeah,
Well,
me
us
too.
three, clearly.
There's a good argument that 1999 is one of the best movie years that ever existed in all of movie history. If you look
Frozen
at
2 didn't come in 1999, so
that, but it could have. But
I'm pretty sure Half Baked came out in 1999. So
I'm not even joking though. When you look at
doctor says I need a backiotomy.
when you look at 1999,
get away from me, bitch. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm gonna put my Disco Boys costume back on and just pretend I'm a Disco Boy.
You riled us up. You got us going.
I just left for a second and came back, and you guys were so rude. Yeah, the year 1999
Disco Boys back together
is arguably one of the best movies for or video. God damn.
Years
for. I keep almost saying video games because I've been talking about video games the last 2 days. Ever in all history of movies, it's one of the best years for movies ever. And if you look at it, it's almost undeniable because you can't.
Eyes wide shut.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
The Talented Mr. Ripley.
He was talented that year.
Matrix.
Girl Interrupted. Virgin Suicides.
Matrix Interruption.
Magnolia.
The Matrix Suicide. The Matrix.
The Green Mile. Drive Me Crazy. She's all that. Classic. Okay, I'm on board for
She's
this.
all Matrix.
Yeah. What about Mystery Man and Star Wars Episode 1 and
Man on the Moon?
Man on the Moon. Yeah, that's a good movie.
That's
A Midsummer's Night's Dream. Annie. This isn't.
It's a hard knock life.
Yeah, I feel like you're just reading movies.
What the hell's going on here?
That's
American
Criterion.
Beauty. Okay.
That was not. Yeah, that was 99.
1999.
Jason, are you
Runaway
on the
Bride? Fight Club. Okay,
Fight Club.
yeah, this year.
Am I on the can?
Big
What you
Daddy,
just asked me?
Notting Hill, 10 Things I Hate About You. Oh my God, this year is
What a crazy movie year.
wild.
Yeah.
Sleepy
Big
Hollow.
Daddy.
I watched that one.
Sleepy Hollow. We should do that on the pod one day.
That's a
yeah.
Austin
That's how you
Powers,
do
The
this
Spy
one.
Who Shagged Me is 1999 as
Great
well.
It is.
Great
That came out
movie.
the same weekend as Star Wars. Episode
This
1.
Star Who
is-
shagged the Star Who worsed me.
But I'm a Cheerleader, classic gay movie.
Yeah.
Yep. That has what's her face from American Pie and Russian Doll in it, right?
Oh yeah. Pooter.
Susan
Susan
Johnny.
Pooter. I don't
Susan
know.
Johnny.
Wild Wild West.
That came out in
Oh,
99 as well. I saw a lot of
Passport to
movies that year.
Paris.
Holy shit.
Wild Wild West is the
Olsen-
Superman remake.
The Olsen twins movie Passport to Paris came out this year.
Hell yeah, brother.
Jeez.
Galaxy Quest. Yes,
No.
you guys are covering that.
Galaxy Quest
Isn't
did
that
not come out
98?
in 1999.
Well,
thought that
then
was
this thing
98.
is lying to me.
Yeah.
Office
Galaxy
Space.
Quest 2 weeks from now. Oh,
That's all right.
Office Space. Yeah, that's a big one.
Hold on. No. Galaxy Quest came out in like 1996. This list is false.
No.
Damn it, did the
Galaxy
internet
Quest is
lie
at
to me?
least
I think it
97.
did.
Did the end? How dare
This
it?
just sounds
The
like a list
internet's
of some
never
guy's
lied to me
movies that he
before.
likes.
Anyway,
Galaxy Quest 1999 says it right here on Google.
There's no way.
Starring Alan Rickman and Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver and Sam Rockwell, Antonio Shalhoub and Justin Long. I didn't know Justin Long.
Long.
Justin
no,
Long is a jump scare in this time. Like from 1999 to 2010, I think. Like he's just a jump scare in so many different movies.
But then also from 2020 to now, he still sort of looks the exact same as he did in
Yeah.
1999. He's one of those like Keanu Reeves,
Needless.
Nicolas
Welcome
Cage
to Justin
phenomenons.
Longcast. We're just
Justin Longcast. Imagine, I bet you if we made a Justin Longcast,
Tusk.
we could probably get Justin Long to come on
Yeah.
it if we tried hard enough. He would probably
Like,
do
you
it.
guys see Tusk? A Barbarian? Like, yeah. I saw Tusk. I'm too scared. to watch
Why would you
Barbarian.
make a voice like that? Those movies are both good.
Tusk
I
isn't.
mean,
Tusk
Tusk is-
exists.
I think there are acquired taste movies.
Tusk
Can you
isn't
say
a
that?
Tusk is an incredible movie because it got made. Because Kevin Smith and made a joke on Smodcast that would be a great movie.
Yep.
With Scott Mosier Is that his name?
Yep.
It's incredible that
See
that
if
movie
Jason
got
can get
made.
his way through this this story time with Jason.
It's incredible that that movie got made because of the fact that it was just him and Scott Mosier riffing on a fucking podcast in 2000.
Yeah, they found like a letter in a newspaper or whatever, and it ended up being fake, which is
it's an urban legend kind of a thing that like this town had this eccentric millionaire put an ad in a newspaper that he wanted somebody to come to his home and get
I'll be right
sewn
back.
into
All right.
Anyway, listen. Do we want to just get through some plot, or because it's 10 o'clock?
Yeah. All right.
Roy works at the junkyard. That's a funny back and forth with the woman.
Do you like
I swear to God. I really like when he grabs the stress ball and he's like,
I like when she grabs his goggles and pulls him in really close, and you can hear the like, oh, I'm not wearing my. I should be wearing it. The leather sound, and then she says, "Listen, I want it junked," and he's like,
"Junked."
And she's like got all these wild whiskers coming out of her chin and stuff. It's frightening.
That segment sort of Chekhov's guns the thing that they use at the end, the like tank. It shows the tank.
Tom Waits' second most hilarious moment in the entire movie, which is like, wait a minute, you have a Witzerwazzle? That's the finest non-lethal. Like, his whole thing is about like non-lethal weapons or whatever.
The mystery machine?
Yeah, it's the mystery
machine.
That's the finest non-lethal battle weapon that's ever been made.
I was 8 years old when I realized that it's mystery with 2 Y's. Is that how you...
yeah, mystery. How do you spell mystery in your head?
An I in the front or
is this
back?
Am I losing my mind?
How you spell mystery?
Is it?
That's how you spell mystery.
It is. I was 8 years old when I learned how to spell mystery.
Am I the one who was wrong?
No.
Casanova Frankenstein does the
having a moment.
Listen, why is a tricky letter and I don't like it?
Have I just been reading too much Canadian fiction?
Probably. Casanova Frankenstein does the old tell Captain Amazing his plan before leaving him in the dark. The mystery men show up. They get their ass kicked by the Disco Boys. Roy wants to retreat, so they do. We get the side plot with the waitress where he's like, well, let's go on a date. She's like, fuck no, you're weird and small. They take Invisible Boy.
Connection. She's in Mallrats. She's the girlfriend.
Is she?
Yeah,
she's a very, very,
show.
very, very beautiful actor.
English woman. She's English.
She is. She has
from England.
So like her and Hank Azaria would hang out a lot on set because he was like, "Can I just ask you a question, please?" Am I saying
is that true, or did you make that up?
I think he actually did.
I'm like, I can't tell if that's a factoid or like you're just shitting with us.
He's trying to slam.
But also him and Janeane, is it Garofalo? Yeah, Garofalo.
Also,
I never know if
she's in Dogma.
Garofalo.
Also, yeah. Janeane Garofalo is on this podcast right now. So.
Oh, because
Noel kind of looks a little bit like Janeane Garofalo.
You also have the attitude of
Janeane. Yeah, I think your attitude is more Janeane Garofalo. Well, you know, you kind of look like her too a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that too, and I was like, I've had green.
Doesn't she just have like the front parts as green?
No, she just has random green fucking strands. It's great though. Can we just for one moment? I think we haven't really talked about the fact that Janeane Garofalo. In 1999, she was like peak star in the world of comedy, and for her to do a movie like this whole ensemble, she just is kind of the crown jewel of the. She's kind of the star of this thing. I think.
Well, she's also the only kind of real superhero of the team.
True.
She also is the one that destroys the machine at the end.
She's the Princess Leia. She's the only woman.
She's
with
Princess
lines.
Leia if she didn't get
the only woman.
Princess
in the
Leia
whole
didn't
movie.
get hiked back at the planet Yavin at the end of the movie.
No, that's what. Okay, can I just say, all the new movies are fan service. What do you think Leia in a bikini was?
Yeah,
Sorry. Okay,
absolutely,
sorry.
you're correct.
That's what I was trying to
Leia
say
is
about
fan service.
wokeness earlier. Where I'm like,
Rise of
interracial
Skywalker
couple.
is not that bad, guys. In 20
How
years,
can we
I'll
never
be
see
right
Han Solo in a goddamn thong?
Sorry.
Libs.
I meant that she's the only like female character with the story. Like she's the only centered focus.
This movie does not
lady.
pass the Bechdel test. I'll tell you that right now.
It passes the Beck-Knoll test, though, in that it's a
I
romp.
said
That's our new standard, the Beck-Knoll test. Yeah,
Beck-Knoll test.
yeah.
That's the name of next month, in fact.
The Beck-Knoll test.
She's a great character. Like you're right. She's destroys the machine. They don't believe in her. They do the classic like lady thing, but I'm really pleased that they don't do what movies are about to start doing a lot, where like it's a mask and then comes in and like does the thing and then takes it off and it's a
Taskmaster
woman.
Taskmaster
they didn't do
and
any
Black
of
Widow.
that.
I kind of like that, like these doofuses, like this group of guys. When she comes in, they immediately are like, "No, go away, sorry." And then she's like, "Okay, well, fuck you." And like, she immediately
Flying bowling ball attack.
Fuck you, because she's probably dealt with it like every day of her life. Like, fuck this. Opens the ball bag up and throws the ball at them. And then everybody is like, wait, come over here, come over here.
And then toxic masculinity guy is like, no, we still don't want you. And then she corrects him.
Like a couple of times throughout the conversation.
And then they're like, you're in. The other
and then
one.
when she corrects them like a third time, all of them like put their hands out to be like, come on, you're on the team. And
interestingly, do you know what? Sorry, go ahead, Steve. My bad.
No, if you want to interrupt, that's fine.
I don't. I just wanted to bring up the fact that she's a second generation superhero, which I always enjoy.
Yes.
Not unlike the Rat Woman in the Suicide Squad. Very similar character.
The Rat Catcher is the name.
Silk Spectre too is also
Silk Spectre and Silk. So that's much more sad than these two characters, though, of course. Because
we don't really understand what the bowler. I mean, I assume that her character is maybe like the daughter of the character from the comic book or something like that, or is
I could not tell you.
Yeah,
like is she made up for this movie, or is she like part?
I had the same thought, and
you don't know. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it really doesn't matter because it doesn't diffuse her power as a character in this movie. I think she's probably one of the most interesting characters. She's definitely one of the funniest characters, but she's also like got something going on there that extends the story beyond what we have, and it even opens up a little bit of story beyond other characters like Tony C, where he's like, hello, I'm the guy that gave your daddy the shaft. Like and he's like, oh, hey, what the fuck? And like that guy has now been expanded as a villain. Like he's a villain, yes, but now he's like a bigger villain where you're like, oh, I want to see this guy get fucked up by her later on. Go ahead.
Probably too deep for this movie, but it's kind of like Captain Amazing. It's like your corporate sponsor guy, and then the bowler seems like a legitimate superhero fighting crime, but like on a much different scale, like much more of a like grassroots kind of superhero who met his like end. Like you have these two different kind of characters looming over these mystery men, which now I know is spelled with two Y's.
You were like Misstery.
How did you spell mystery before?
That's the thing, dude. I am a college graduate, not like a university graduate, not an idiot. Like I can rattle off facts about stuff and tell you a whole bunch of shit, but I have no idea how to spell the word mystery. Freaking dumbass.
Listen, it's safe to assume that once in a while we have our slip ups with spelling. Okay.
Mystery Man.
But
MISSTYARI is how you spell mystery. Stupid.
The PMS Avenger. Like,
did you like or did you not like? I was interested to know.
Oh yeah, we are at the point where it's they get Invisible Boy and it was somebody enter the spleen. The spleen
also, wait, we one moment when they go to his door, it's 3 grown men. They're like in their late 30s. Some of them are in their like maybe early 50s, mid 40s. You can't really tell these guys. They're old-ish, but you don't know. And this kid opens the door and he's like, "Oh, ever since I was a kid, okay, come on in." And they all go in. And then he's like, "Dad, I'm going to my bedroom with 3 strange men." And the dad is just like on the couch. And you're like, okay, so you immediately understand that like he's already invisible to everyone in his life. So like you get that sort of like building magic for this character, which I guess makes magic real in this world, because like him feeling invisible is what causes him to be invisible. This is a real Doctor Strange origin story, is what I'm saying.
He also doesn't go invisible in like the Invisible Man way. He
No,
goes
it's like
invisible.
It's like he disappears from
reality.
here.
No
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
He's like Nightcrawler a little bit. He
Bamf.
Yeah.
I know it's spelled Bamf, but it's
Snickety.
snick, bub. You can see that new episode of X-Men. Oh man,
I always read it as
you thought it was too dark.
No,
always read
it's just
It's comic book accurate, Noel.
I
was-
no, it's oh.
It's
Jesus.
spelled, listen,
Somebody.
guys, I know how it's spelled, but this is how it's pronounced.
Every time Nightcrawler goes into the night realm, it goes.
No, it's this. When he teleports, yeah.
X-Men 97 is incredible, but it's so dark.
Yeah.
And I
grew
was
up
just like,
with us,
enjoy. I was
But
just
there's
like,
like a very large swath
I
of
was
time
like,
where
this
we
might
grew up
be-
so far.
it's just I was like, oh, this is fun. Oh my god! And then the last episode, I was like, this
Happy
might be-
nation, living in a happy
Dark.
nation. Yeah,
It's the penultimate episode, though. We're almost done. Anyway,
they're gonna reboot everything.
I'm the invisible
now.
boy. I sometimes I go to my parents. I'm like, you give me too much freedom. You treated me like I was invisible. This is what my bedroom looked like when I was a kid. I just had like comic panels like all over my bedroom. Like sometimes I'm like, the reason I am the way that I am now is because of you. Like you did this to me.
was there any licensed product behind him? I didn't really catch
The
it.
invisible boy.
Yeah,
They
because,
probably
like,
went through every like invisible. We can do the invisible slut or the invisible boy. Which one do you want? Those are the only two we have invested.
I don't know if there was,
off-brand
like-
stuff or stuff that like the
Yeah,
art
I don't know if there
department
was-
had put together.
This movie didn't. Besides the Pepsi stuff, I don't know if there was a lot of like product placement in this movie that I noticed anyway.
Except for all over his jacket in that first scene, which is like
No, that's what I
You got
said, yeah.
Reebok and yeah. No,
yeah, besides like that opening.
They kind of
Yeah.
did it in a Wayne's World way, where you just put it all in one skit.
right. One scene, it's all there. Everything's paid for immediately.
I have a headache. Try these.
Yeah. Or I don't even
Delaware.
think that toothpaste wasn't even real, was it? It was like whitey tighty whiteys.
It,
Because
yeah,
I
it was-
want
it
my
was
teeth
tidy-
to look amazing. or
No, it
whatever.
wasn't tidy whiteys. It was mighty whiteys.
Okay, well,
It was mighty whiteys, which I was like, oh, haha, underwear, haha. Enter the spleen. The spleen's origin is hilarious. He who smelt it was destined forever to.
well, this
have
is also
foredelt
is this your
it.
other one? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Slightly problematic. It's a blink and you miss it. But know that I know I'm alone on the show.
No, it's not a
Oh.
blink and you miss it. What it is a thing that was always happening forever before this, and it was a punchline. Like it was like they went for an easy punchline. It's a little bit. It's bad. It's not good. But
Oh,
I
Orientalism.
gotta say though, it's still kind of funny. Like it's
Sorry.
still kind of funny.
Orientalism is the word I was looking for. That's what that Blue Rasha character is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look that up on the internet if you want to know more about why that's a problem. That
And then
whole thing.
This is just like being racist towards like Roma. gypsies and yeah.
The Roma people. So, did you know that the character Nightwing is half Roma?
Nightwing.
Yeah, because they're circus people, of course.
Jason. Oh. Did you know that the Roma people invented the song? Well, now I'm the only one on the show. So, yeah.
Have we gotten your sillies out?
Yeah, I didn't even have any. I know what you mean. But there are movies that are wonderfully put together that use it, and it's unfortunate because even for me as a person that is, like that feels grinded up and kicked around. No, grinded up and kicked around by movies sometimes when certain things are said or done. For a long time, I didn't have the compassion for that, just because so much of what I like has been wrapped, like the Evil Dead series, for example, is something that uses that as a storytelling element without ever having any kind of compassion for it. The movie Drag Me to Hell is almost completely ingrained in using Roma culture as something that is like, ooh, spooky, let's all bite our fingernails. But like, I still love that movie, and I sometimes feel like guilt. I shouldn't say that I sometimes feel guilty. Almost every time now that I watch it, I feel guilty. I'm like, oh man, they really shouldn't be doing this.
That's why they have those like words like problematic fave and all of this, because you can't really go back into any of those movies without finding something, right? But I feel like it just got worse. Like the 2000s were a lot worse, a lot more irony poisoned. Like it's, well, it's, I don't like it, but it's not ruining the movie for me. But it's like one of those moments where I'm like in Clueless, they use the R word in the movie.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do that next month, so hopefully.
Never mind. I'll save my thoughts about the fashion and all that.
I agree though, because I love the movie Drag Me to Hell, but I do, every time I watch it, think about every time I've heard how problematic it is, like while I'm watching it now. So it doesn't not affect me, and like every time I'm like, if I was to ever tell a story, I should make sure that I don't do this to a group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think it's one of those things we have to mention. You have to mention that that's not cool, and it's used in a movie that we love. Doesn't make us hate the movie, but doesn't make us excuse that either.
I was having this thing where I was talking to my wife about what are terms that we use now that aren't going to be able to be used in 10 years from now. And we kind of brought up some things like come dragon,
man bat.
and I think realistically, like calling things autistic shouldn't be done anyway, but I think like that is going to be a changed word in the future. No, that's a relatively new word that's going to be nomenclaturally changed again.
Hold on, what are you saying?
Words
calling
that are
things autistic?
Words that we use now. That
autistic is not a new word. What are you talking about?
No, okay, that's just an example. And she said like gypsy, right? Or and I'm like, that's already on the way out anyway. So the idea that we're even still having this conversation now indicates that potentially that is one of those things that we're in the process of eliminating. So it's interesting that when we go back and watch these movies, and it's good that we're not hearing F slurs and R words and this and that. It does suck that they do that this situation is happening in this movie when it is so devoid of any sort of untoward language, right? And the fact that in 1999 of every curse was from a Roma, right? Like that was just the go-to.
There's a couple different ones.
Back then they used to say curses come from Romas. That's what they said.
We don't need to unpack it, but it's like marginalized
we can-
communities, people of color, non-Christian, misunderstood religions, and are like, you're always going to go for the other and say like, ooh, because we don't understand
It's
it.
spooky, yeah.
There's going to be some stuff coming off of this this war in the Middle East that's going to be like, can't say
All
that
of this
anymore
from the
because of all of
spleen.
it.
Come on, guys. Let's just...
Yeah.
Okay, but like you were saying, there's not a lot of malice behind a lot of this, and it turns out I
Right.
actually have 3 problematic things. So we've got 2 down. We'll wait for number 3 later.
Well, here's the most problematic thing in the whole movie. Fucking Dane Cook jump scare. Do you know what I wrote? I wrote Dane Cook lame, the waffler. That's what I wrote about him. Fuck
did
that
they just
guy.
let him like this?
This is like before he was even like famous too. This is just like him just trying to be an actor.
What I
Probably-
think this was, because this whole segment, all the people there are or were comedians, up and coming performers,
I
actors. Like,
don't know who Pencilhead and Son of Pencil.
that's Doug Jones,
Oh, my bad.
one of the best mime performers that ever existed, and
Sorry.
he's in every
You don't
single
have to do the
Guillermo
slow
del Toro
talk on
movie.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know who Son of Pencilhead is. It's probably some fucking kid who's just whatever.
That kid's face, though, as soon as I saw it again, I hated that then, and it brought back like when he's like, and Son of Pencilhead, that made me like physically cringe because I
like
think
Jason was like, I could have done a better job as Son of
That's not what I
Pencilhead.
mean. It was more so just like, I think that's one of those like repressed like memories that I didn't like then because it just gave me
didn't
the
like
ick.
that. I
Yeah.
didn't like when he came in and said, I'm Son of Pencilhead from behind him, but I do love when he grabs him by the shoulder, then you hear him say, did I do good? And then his dad says, yeah, I think they liked it. Like, he takes him away. That's very good.
There's also like the ballerina man where it's like this mysterious, like that's a little
the
bit.
only
Yeah,
gay
I
fan
didn't
thing.
love
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one. Also, like,
And then 2 Wonder Women show up and they fucking have basically a mud sling fight.
We don't know
didn't
what
like
their
that either.
Yeah, we don't know what their powers are. We don't know what their super names
this
were.
scene might actually be my least favorite scene.
Squeegee Man, PMS
Yeah.
woman,
Like,
Bowler shows up.
Just
I made a note that the CGI actually holds up pretty well. And weirdly enough, like from here on out, I don't have a lot of notes, so we could probably just talk about because the movie picks up after this. In my opinion, the first hour of this movie is kind of like frustrating world building if you've seen it a million times. In my final thought, I'm going to say that like it bugs me, but if you've never seen this movie, it's great because the world building is fantastic. But I think the first half of this movie is kind of like redundant if you kind of know what's happened already. And that's just from that's like a critical. I was having fun watching it, but Steve, you and I watched the first hour of this movie at your house that night, like 3 months ago. Remember when we finished the movie?
Because I was like,
It was
I'm
so
going to do this
fresh in
next
my-
year.
Yeah, it was last year even.
Yeah.
It was so fresh in my mind, and I actually, here's a reveal. I'll give you guys a reveal. I watched the first 48 minutes of this movie on 1.5x speed. Sorry. What a huge reveal that is.
I watched
But,
the first 49 minutes of this movie with a mind-crushing migraine.
I watched this
I
movie
watched the first
3
50
times this week. How's that for a mind-crushing reveal?
Yeah, but when you watch the first 2 times, like you didn't have to pay attention to the movie most of the times that you watched it. I had to pay
It's
attention.
because I've seen it a million times, yes, but I wanted it to be resonating in my head. And I would have loved if all 3 of us could have fucking sat down and watched this together because we could have been talking about
I had a
these things.
migraine.
I had a migraine too. What do you want from me?
I had
That
to
sounds
watch
like a
Apes
headache. If you were
movie
able
3.
to watch a movie, that sounds like a headache. That's not my.
Yeah.
I know what a migraine is. God damn it.
I liked the line that he fell down an elevator shaft onto some bullets. I didn't write any context,
It's a
but
classic.
I liked that.
You're right. I think the pacing is a little. It's like it doesn't hurt you. It's not like the pacing of a Marvel series. Like it's not like
Right.
what the hell is this? But it is a little start and stop.
After
it's like
you get past,
vignettes almost like
yeah, after you get past this sequence, the movie becomes fucking so fucking amazing. Like it is it's a great movie, but it goes from like, okay, I've seen this to, oh my God, this
they're
is
doing stuff now. Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah,
get it's an origin story, so you're right. Like they get the team together, and then that's when they go to the Sphinx and get, like the montage, like the training
right.
sequence.
Yeah. Well, we get a little bit more before that. We have they all get in the car and they track down Casanova's.
Yeah, Blue Rush tries to explain his
car.
history while they're driving to the bowler.
And she
Bowler-
says like,
Bowler
so what are
explains
you, like a
bowling.
British Indian man who found Jerusalem or something?
Yeah. But the high speed pursuit that happens after, like during this sequence, is so fucking good. They think that they find the Disco Boys, or more like Susie Izzard and Frankenstein. They drive. They're like in a cool tunnel. You know, they're in like a New York style tunnel. They drive to the end.
The camera work is amazing in this sequence. It's so good. Yeah.
They start backing up into the Mystery Mobile, for lack of a better term, and they pull right next to them. And then the fucking mystery men just bust out of the car, and they start attacking the car, and it's so weird.
They don't attack at first.
They fork the car.
Yeah, they come out and they're like,
Shoveler's just bashing the car,
but they like surround it. Like they all surround Casanova Frankenstein's car. But like while the car's coming back, I think like Mr. Furious says like he's either very dumb or very smart, or what is he's very stupid or very. I don't remember what he says, but it's like the car is coming at them, goes next to them. They all get out. And then, you know, they prepare themselves, and then all the windows go down, and then they have like a standoff, like a Western or whatever.
This part is where I'm so frustrated with Mr. Furious from the first half of this movie so far.
Mm-hmm.
And then this scene, just like I hate, like I just hate him in this scene.
Yeah,
it's good character growth because you end up like
end up loving him.
Yeah, but this is the crux of like, fuck this guy.
He's so stupid. Yeah, but he also says things that are like very dumb, but also like he's still kind of polite, but at the same time like.
Yeah. Well, it's that he's like beating the car and singing the song, and the shoveler is like, "Come, let's
get out of here. Let's get.
Come on." Yeah. And I'm just like, just get in the car, like the grandstanding. Like, it's just I think a trigger for me that I hate when people grandstand. So like, but
I mean, we also have the shoveler who is meant to be there as our dad, right? Being and like, everybody get back in the car. You're like,
and you're supposed to dislike Mr. Furious in this part. Like, you're not supposed to, like, that's not part of his character growth at this point. Like, we're not on his side.
If you do feel like
comically useless during this too, like he
does nothing.
He's elbow dropping the roof of the car. But here's a little thing that I noticed when they drive off and the villains are like checking on the car, the engine, they open the hood and the steam comes out. Like whatever he did, I think he got a little bit of his strength into that and fucked up the engine, because everything else they did to the car wouldn't have affected the engine.
That's so kind of you. I love what you've made for this movie, and if that's true, that's a beautiful little moment.
He elbowed into like a pipe.
It was more of a face plant. And it messed Jason,
up. Why not give the credit to everybody else on the team? Why are you giving it to Mr. Fury? Do you identify as Mr.
Tell
Furious?
You why. A little bit. I'll tell you why though, because the forker, Blue Rush, just throwing knives inside the car, which like locks the doors. Bowler is just throwing the bowling ball through the window, smashing the windows. Shoveler literally just smashing one side of the car, but Mr. Furious is literally face planting on the hood, and then the car won't go anymore. And they open up the hood and the steam comes out, and I was like, oh, did he get a little bit of that? Like he got a little bit of his power through
He
did
something.
Yeah, I don't know. He was chewing on the he was chewing on the little thing
Well,
on the front
no,
of the
I
hood.
think we figured out which character Jason identifies with the most.
The spleen.
What did the spleen do? Oh, he stuck his butt up to the window and like blast it, and
Then they
my
closed the
God, man.
windows.
That's Geoffrey Rush, Academy Award-winning actor Geoffrey Rush.
What do you win the Academy Award for?
I don't know, some movie that he was in one time.
All right, yeah, cool. What's
Jeffrey and the
next?
Rush bunch. We get spleen hitting on Bowler. She's like, there's that scene where they're just sitting around the bar, like all stoked.
Well, that's because it's their first victory, right? That's their as a team, but also I assume as the 3 team members, the like Blue Raja, Shoveler, and Mr. Furious, they probably have also never really had a victory as succulent as that one.
They talk about like what their powers are too, and how like they all contributed. Invisible Boy's still like, look, guys, I can do it, but they're like, okay, why are you here?
He's also drinking like a Shirley Temple while everyone else is getting like hammered. Yeah, it's pretty good.
And they edge through this whole movie. We get edged on what the name of their group is, and it even happens here where it's like, what do we even call ourselves? Then the Disco Boys confront them in the alleyway, and that's when the Sphinx is revealed, which they talk about earlier in the movie. And he has powers, right? Like he's Magneto or something, because all of their guns fall apart completely.
Well, earlier in the
Gotta have
movie,
something.
when they're trying to figure out like how can we make our team better, the Shoveler says, again, one of the great lines of the movie is like, yeah, like somebody who can shoot poison spray out of their mouths into people's eyes and blind them, and like he's just like listing things, but he's not listing any actual superheroes he knows. And then at the end he's like, well, I know this guy Sphinx, he can like cut guns in half with his mind. And so you've already had that planted there, and in this moment the Disco Boys are like, they're all coming up on them in the alley, and they all go, are you ready? And they
do a choreographed gun
and then
race.
them out.
The choreography for the Disco Boys is great. So Geoffrey Rush was already an Academy Award winning actor at this time because he won in 1996 for Shine.
Okay.
All right.
So he was like, I'm going to win an Academy Award, and I'm going to do Mystery Men.
And I'm going to do Mystery Men. Yeah. Why the fuck not?
This is it.
And then after that, Pirates forever.
7 Pirates movies. We get this Sphinx training montage where he's just sort of teaching them individually.
No, but we didn't get the point where all the guys.
And they're sewing the costumes at this point, right? You see.
Well, that's after. That's
sorry.
Coming up.
And then the Sphinx comes out, and this is the guy they mentioned earlier when the Shoveler was like, he can cut guns in half with his mind. And then all the Disco Boys are like, nervous, and they run away. And then we've got our good our good man. He gets onto the rickshaw, and he's like, I'll kill you later, super losers, and he disappears into the distance. But then we have he's just, what is he like? He's like an owl. What is his costume? Does anyone know what the?
I don't know. I read sort of like indigenous mysticism man. That's sort of what I read.
That's what you read? You're like indigenous mysticism man.
Mystic mysticism.
I read Ruby's costume knockoff of like Batman with no ears. Or like,
that's what like all of their costumes feel like at the end, though, right? They all feel like Robin or Batman. Like
it's all like mascot with like the little cloaky thing that Mr. Sinister kind of, or no, like
Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister is amazing. The thing that's funny during the sequence after they get their little montage. We get like, I think one of the funniest jokes in the whole movie is Mr. Furious is trying to balance a hammer on his head, and then he's like, Also, I have these watermelon on my feet, and Sphinx is like, I don't believe I asked you to put watermelons on your feet.
I can't
And
remember telling you to do that. Like,
I
Oh my god, we're so
forgot about
stupid.
that.
He's
and
a
then I was
luchador. The Sphinx.
oh, is he?
Yes.
Luchadore. That's great.
Yes.
That's
We're
great.
so
That's why
dumb.
he looks like a luchador.
We did Luchador last month. Why the fuck didn't we even realize that, Jason? I blame
don't
you.
know. I don't read wrestling off of every single little thing, believe it or not. I
You had
do.
one job, Jason.
I had one job. I'm the resident wrestling expert. But yeah, he teaches Blue Raja to also like throw the forks like from under his
He
thing.
teaches everyone how to do something better except for Mr. Furious. Who
Because he won't-
has nothing.
He won't learn.
Well, no, I think Noel is more correct. Is that he doesn't have anything for him to teach him. He's like, I don't know what to teach you because you don't have anything for me to teach. It's already
Although
there.
it is making him mad to hear this.
I just saw your
knowledge.
name.
Mr. Fister.
Yeah, that's my name. Don't worry.
Mr. Fister, the sinister pisser.
I gotta piss sinister so bad. Did you guys catch when they were doing the firewalk moment that All-Star plays for like 4 seconds?
It's playing for like a good 3 minutes, man. What are you
In
talking
the
about?
thing that I read, they said that they only used All-Star for 3 sections of the movie for very short amounts because they were saving it for a better movie was what
And that movie was
Burden
Rat
was
Race.
saying.
And that movie was Shrek. And that movie was Rat Race. You saw that TikTok as well.
No, I remember Rat Race from when I was a kid seeing it, and they all dive into the crowd and they're like,
the world was like there's pre-Shrek world and then post-Shrek world. I think Shrek changed everything.
I think there's pre All-Star by Smash Mouth world and post All-Star by Smash Mouth world. We get them doing the costume design bits. Roy gets pissed off and leave. They all remember Heller and his weapons and armor stuff, and they go to the abandoned amusement park, and they find him. Roy goes to the diner. He's all in his feelings. She kind of senses that. What's even her name? Like what is that? What is that character's name?
I'll look it up while you keep talking.
It's
Susan.
kind of ironic
It's like
that
Kathleen
you don't
or
know her
Karen or
name,
something.
But
Why is it ironic?
because the whole thing about her hitching herself to Roy is that she doesn't know Roy's name and he's refusing to say her name.
Oh,
to him.
yeah.
That's why it's ironic.
Monica.
It's yeah. I don't know if she ever says her name out loud in this movie. Like it's only in the script.
Yeah, she's kind of an unfortunate character because she doesn't really have anything to do other than to just put him up onto a point of.
She is girl and knows motorcycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I also like that she doesn't know motorcycle.
She doesn't. She's like, what are you
Queen,
talking
and she's
about?
like, what? And he's like, you like motorcycles? And she's like, no, I don't. I don't really like them at all.
Like, well, I have a I have a Harley.
I
have a
like
Harley.
that she likes that when he's sad,
Compatible.
she's like, oh, you're sad. Okay, I'll try and be nice to you. I don't like that immediately he's like, I'm sad and she's getting into this, so now I have to use my sadness as
The
a
funny
way to
thing
go.
is too is superhero movies like don't really exist yet in 1999, but the superhero movies that come
They
after
do.
this,
Blade,
no, that's 2000.
Batman,
That
Blade. Isn't Blade?
Listen, no, the Blade is like the next year, and
You're
then
talking the-
X-Men is 2001.
The
What I'm saying,
Spider-Man movie is.
I'm
what you're
saying that small era of superhero movies that came out in the very early 2000s, where they shoehorned in love stories because the whole point was we're gonna make a superhero movie that's gonna get girlfriends into the theater, guys. Bring your girlfriends. We got love stories now. Yeah. My point is this movie works. That her character works a lot better as a parody of that. Like this movie is a parody of movies that haven't happened yet. to what you were saying earlier, Steve, but also like to a crazy degree, because she feels shoehorned in as like a love interest for no reason. But that thing hasn't even happened yet. That whole phenomenon of like the Mary Jane thing, where Mary Jane isn't just like, you know, Spider-Man's girlfriend, is the whole subplot in a movie that hasn't happened yet. That's interesting, I think. Long silence.
Well, we're all kind of we're like, what the fuck do we say to that?
Well, I'm not trying to be like provocative. I think that's one of the cool things about this movie is it was inarguably ahead of its time.
Yeah, I would agree.
But
if this same movie, beat for beat, came out in 2005, I think it would have been it would be much more widely regarded.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more toxic because the odds were a godless time.
Oh, yeah.
Godless? There is no God.
There was a time where I thought that things were going to be nice for a bit, and then it turned into mean weirdness for.
Yeah, I go back to those mid
2000s,
those the American Pie era or whatever. All of those
American
movies.
Wedding. They definitely say the R word in that. I'm sure. Probably the F slur as well.
Jason, stop saying the movies that.
I was long. It's a long pause because like you. There's nothing to yes and like it's a valid point. Like it's a very
it's
valid
mostly
point.
Yes, but
no, there's no but. That's the thing. It's
there's
just
no
yes.
but. What? That's
yes,
my favorite part.
Excellent observation. Well done.
That's the yes and for that. Tell me that I'm good and I'm a good boy. Hellers, tools are non-lethal, can tornado, clothes shrinker, blame thrower, which is just flamethrower, but funny.
So funny.
I think this whole moment is funny.
I love this sequence.
It just makes people fight with each other, which is
I mean, which is what happens all the time already. So it's just bringing out, to the top what you want to do. What do you want to say? Jason, you son of a bitch.
Hey, I blame you for all of the atrocities put upon mankind.
All of them? Every single one.
Happy birthday. You're the champ.
Bitch. Well, I apologize for all the atrocities that I've brought onto mankind, but I need you to know, humankind, that Jason did it before me. He's the one.
Oh, hey, I just got a notification that you guys lost half of your subscribers.
Oh, shit.
How do I get Sampuku eyes? Am I doing it?
Okay.
Oh my god, your eyes went in two different directions. And not
you can't take away the followers that don't exist. Okay. Mr. Furious. The girls. Monica says, "Be yourself." The Disco Boys watch on. I thought that there was going to be a little bit more of a like them immediately snagging her, but that doesn't get revealed till later. The group has their moment where they're like, all right, you three go and infiltrate. The three of us will watch. The Operation 3 Eyes 3 Legs Eagle comes into effect. Roy comes back. I do like when he's talking to Monica and he's being very real, and she's finally like warmed up to him a bit, and he's kind of like, yeah, but like anger, but like being furious is kind of my thing. Can I just like march back in there furious, or like how do I go back in there and be furious? It's kind of my thing. She's like, just go back. And then when he gets back, he kind of tries that a little bit, and we kind of glossed over the fact that Shoveler and Mr. Furious are like best friends. Like there should be a story that's separate where the two of them started all of this, and they go on adventures together.
Story that's separate that we can stitch together that story without needing a backstory. Like it exists there, and like I get it, like I totally understand. Have you ever met somebody who has a good friend and then just watch them talk back and forth? Like you know what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. What I did like about when he came back, he's immediately like, I lost my address book. And Shoveler's like, what did it look like?
You should think about the last place that you saw it.
Yeah. And Mr. Furious says, I'll tell you what the description is. It's denim. It says hang loose. There's a picture of a kitten. And I laughed out loud. His address book.
Yes.
I laughed out loud to that.
It says hang loose.
That's a funny
It says
one.
hang
I
loose.
wasn't
It's
expecting that.
denim.
I was expecting him to
Picture of
like
a kitten.
grandstand and be like, it's like leather with spikes on it, but like,
Yeah.
Picture of a phoenix. Roy's invited back into the party. We see the meeting of the villains. This is where we get all the different parties. The Far East boys, the tall, the suits. What's the women group called? Hot ladies.
like the furries or something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't-
It was called like the Bengal bitches. or something.
The frat boys. Good stuff.
Big
Gnarls Barkley.
Tobacco, the
Big
frat
Tobacco.
boys, the
Oh my god, we've been on so long. My headphone is dying.
It'll happen. Gnarls Barkley is part of the they were called like the not rap boys or something like that. Hey, we got a comment. Let's see what the comment says. Hey, it's Space Cadet Tim and Timmy in the
Hi,
house.
Tim.
Hi Tim, welcome.
You have the best
Welcome.
cat, except for my cat.
Fight. Cat fight. Wait,
No.
that's not what that means. Skunk hump scene. That's probably the. If there was more jokes that were as bad as that joke, I think that this movie would suck. But that joke is a bad joke in a sea of great bad jokes that
That is
work.
the most 1999 joke in this.
It
whole
really
movie.
is a thing humping a leg. It's absolutely
Like, what did
they
Seth
find-
MacFarlane write this scene?
yeah. You think that's bad? Remember the time a skunk humped the spleen's leg? They find the cap and he assists them in helping him escape. Shoveler does the circle things that we talked about already to see if he's Lance Billington. What's his name?
Not that.
Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick.
Rest in peace.
His
I feel
name's
like Lance Reddick.
Hunt.
Lance Hunt. I feel like Lance Reddick
Reddick
should
is
have
like
been in
one
this
of the
movie.
best actors who ever lived, and we lost
It's
him
true.
quite recently, and I still sometimes think about him when I'm going to bed.
Star of stage and screen. Anyway, they try to help him escape. They don't help him escape. They do that bit with the trying to figure out if he's Lance. I immediately forgot his name. They
Hunt.
vaporize Hunt. They vaporize Captain Amazing, and I wrote LOL. I wrote lol.
This whole part is maybe the best part of the movie because
It's so slapstick, like fast comedy, like
Also, wouldn't have to save the day if they hadn't killed the hero.
it's true, yeah. They wouldn't.
Like, they
But
killed him.
Maybe they would have because like what are his powers? He can kick and punch? Like what are his actual powers?
No, but
What
I
do we
mean,
know?
he's put away all of those other superheroes, so we know he's like a successful superhero,
Superhero, yeah.
with a good kill rate. Like,
Right. Yeah.
so
Deathman is dead. We know that much. And
we
then-
just and everyone else he put away, right? So we know he's a legitimate superhero, but that doesn't like it should be. It's like if the Suicide Squad went in and killed Batman, like.
Well, so it's not like if they killed Batman. This is what I think is he obviously doesn't give a shit about them at all. Like
Not
as
even
soon
a
as they
little
come in, he's like, okay, well, all right, you guys are gonna get me out of here. All I need to do is explain this to you very simply and easily, and that's what's gonna happen. And he attempts to do that, but he doesn't do that at all.
Well, he gets frustrated with them
Extremely quickly.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so they do kill him, but he doesn't do anything
It's
to
his
save
fault.
himself.
Yeah, it's his fault.
Yes, that's why we don't feel bad when he gets vaporized.
We kind of feel good about it a little bit.
It's like it's fine. And if you liked that character at all, this wouldn't land.
You shouldn't have been watching the movie in the
If that
first place.
staging had been any different, if he hadn't gotten so frustrated with him, if he wasn't being, and then when he throws in that like 16 times, like he's not helping. Like just say, like he could have just said like just one more flip. He's also not paying attention to what they did. He didn't give them good directions.
That was my my main note about this entire interaction was that he died because of his inability to talk to normal people normally. Like he could not figure out how to actually speak to somebody that he's never spoken to before without being like, I'm a charismatic asshole. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's one of those characters in a thing where you perceive him at the very beginning as being this like much smarter, much more righteous, like superhero character. But what you learn about him through the movie as it goes on is that he is actually just as much of a goofball idiot as the rest of them. He's just presented differently. It's kind of like Jan from The Office kind of is one of these characters where when you first meet her, you think that she's like smarter than Michael and smarter than the people in the office. And she's sort of, but as time goes on, you see the cracks, the more she interacts with the people.
Yeah.
But we speed run that in this scene where he's trying to just like explain to them, but because they're stupid, their inability to like understand what he's saying makes his cracks sort of show, and he's his own undoing because he can't just like take a minute and like try to like figure these guys out. And also his superhero ability is literally just he works alone, and he's a little bit smarter. Like that's why he was like the three guys at the beginning of the movie are bumbling. They're just bumbling, trying to like fight crime. And he already has this, like you guys were saying, like he already has like a big kill record. So he comes in and he's just able to systematically figure out the situation. But here he's not, because he's in a situation I don't know if he's ever been in. But Noel, I heard what you said. This is like the Suicide Squad accidentally killing Batman. 100%. That's so fucking funny to me.
And if it's in the Snyderverse, that like you wouldn't be that sad about.
No, because it would be shitty Batfleck.
I like
Batfleck. I do too, and I still wanted to see that movie, but like that Batman's pretty ineffectual, especially in the Flash.
I just mean the emotional anchoring that they used for that Batman has nothing to. Oh, okay, you know what? That's a different podcast.
That Batman kills people too.
That's a completely different podcast. But yes, like if you had, Suicide Squad, like they kill people left and right all the time. It's like in Deadpool when they just killed all of the X-Force characters. Like that's kind of what it feels like here. It's not a death that you're mourning in any way whatsoever, but it's why they have to save the day. And I like how they just don't mention that.
We are at 11 o'clock. So can I just get kind of to the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Heller talks about his machine. It makes hallucinations come true. Shoveler gives him the big pep talk. Blue Rasha goes and tells his mom he's a superhero, and they have that
egg salad pep talk.
The egg salad pep talk, which we talked about earlier as well. Blue Rasha reveals to his mom that he's a superhero, and she kind of does the thing that's like I kind of always knew, which I thought might have been a little bit gay coded. I thought might have been like a little bit of that.
Yeah.
He gets the family heirloom forks. Shoveler says goodbye to his wife. She's like, I'm leaving you. He's like, look, I'm taking this risk because if there is a home to come back to, I want to come back to it. And she goes, okay.
Just a quick note. When she gives him the silverware, she's not like, because you'll never get married. She's like, because that's a long ways off. And I thought that was like, I don't know, a little bit different from what that scene would normally look
40.
Like. And I thought it was just cute. Like it's just nice. But yes,
all of their interactions are cute the entire movie through.
Yes.
Like, everything about it.
I love you, Daddy. Remember when he's like, I love you, Daddy.
She's like, God, don't encourage your father. So good.
Roy goes to talk to Monica. I boiled it down to basically that she just be Roy. When he gets back after having this conversation where she just dresses him down to the point that he realizes that he's just a person and not this like he has a crisis of faith and just wants to leave
At the 11th hour.
This is
at the
also, like,
11th
where
hour.
it then becomes a it becomes a him movie again, where I'm like, no, it's not a him movie. Like, nothing about this is you. This is not supposed to be just you, man. This is everyone else's movie as well.
True.
When I was
So
a kid,
every-
at least. I don't know how you feel now.
It's just kind of like at that moment you have to have some conflict so that it's not an easy victory, right?
For sure.
And they give him a pep talk by insulting him
It's
for
so
like
funny.
5 straight minutes.
The best.
Yeah.
Every movie is a little bit Wizard of Oz. So that scene where he turns around like the Cowardly Lion because they're walking like they're walking to, you know how they have to like carry the Cowardly Lion towards the
And
wizard.
then he jumps out a window later.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. They suit up into their super gear. We get a great shot of them walking in their new gear with the tank. I thought that was really good. They talk shit to Roy to get him angry. They drive right through the front of the mansion, which is not hero stuff. That's like they were like, "Fuck this! We're crashing through." We're breaching. They turn on a super magnet, which manages to suck up all the weapons of all the like criminals that are in that front foyer area.
An electronuclear magnet.
Exactly. I thought it was weird that it didn't suck up their own weapons, but maybe I missed a line of dialogue that was like, "Our weapons are
They've been
not
demagnetized." It's
Same
me, Tom
thought,
White.
and was like, "It's
Yeah.
mystery men." Just
It's
like
probably
let it
fine.
go. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they turned it off when the shoveler got out. All right.
No,
Yeah, but
it
they
was
were
still on.
underneath it.
It was still on.
Shouldn't anything metal inside the anyway? It doesn't.
I mean, they
matter.
were working with like Forge / the guy who dresses Batman, so maybe it was all worked out.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
deleted scenes.
Rubber. It's rubber metal.
What's his name? Lucius Fox. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's who. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's Lucius. Tom Waits is Lucius Fox. You're right.
Yeah.
There's a laser eye thing. We finally get Invisible Boy to use his powers. They use the power of friendship to all turn away, and he turns invisible. That's when we realize that he's not in the Invisible Man style invisible. Things can pass through him.
And
when
then
he
you have a
turns
penis
invisible.
joke.
Yeah, he turns the thing off, and
Two
they all
hands
look at
or
his
something.
dick, and they're like, "Wow, what a giant schlong you have."
Yeah. With a,
Which
yeah.
I was like,
That was in the trailer. I remember that from the trailer as a kid, being like,
Yeah.
he's gonna be naked.
They use the clothes right. They use the clothes ray on the babes, and the one babe is writhing, and her clothes keep getting smaller. And
that's
then
number
Roy
3. that I
Roy
don't
gets a
love.
boner.
I
Roy
don't
gets a
love that.
boner.
I think he says like, my pants are shrinking or something
Yeah.
like that.
If you want to keep fighting crime today, you want to put on some shorts.
Jeez, Louise.
But yes,
That line that Janeane Garofalo says there that you just said is, I think that was in the trailer as well. I think it's like, in a world coming this summer, and he's like, I'm naked, and then yeah, what you just said. Blame Ray on the rappers. The suits leader is named Big Tobacco. I already made a note of that. Shoveler beats Shoveler beats some bitches to cool action disco music is a line I wrote. But it's true. Did you notice that it was like but it was also like action superhero music at the same time. I thought him fighting his way through, seeing the Shoveler be
The music in this
completely
movie is
effectual.
amazing. It's great.
The music in this movie is very good. I agreed. Spleen
There's-
lasts. Sorry, go ahead.
in the DVD special features, there's a musical moments where you can click it and it takes you to the different music with the video, like the little snippet of where the music comes up. This is
Oh,
a very
wow.
like MTV movie. Like
That's actually really cool. Like I could see the DVD having a lot of specials because it's an early DVD. So it probably has, and you see you have like a first run of it, so it probably has all kinds of like special shit on it, right?
not Yeah, it does. Like the stuff that you would get on those old DVDs, random shit. Like they have like an interview with the cast and like that aired on like MTV or something like that. So spotlight on yada yada. I don't know. Anyway, it's very cute. It's very fun. This is what we lose with streaming, man.
That's true. Actually, I think about that sometimes. That like even like behind the scenes vignettes are so few and far between now. Spleen blasts the Asian gang with his fart power after getting shot in the butt. He uses up his.
We also get like a really good moment here where you once again open up into the Spleen and the Invisible Boy, where you're like, are they characters? Yes, they care about each other, which is like really nice. I don't know if you guys
Spleen and Invisible Boy super team up.
I just have to say this. I just have to say it. The gangs are a little bit, or like the bad guys are just a little bit stereotyping. It's a little bit like, but
yeah.
These are the
moving right along.
Italians. These are the Asians. These are the women. These are the whites. Kind of.
Like
listen, we've got a guy who farts a lot and a guy who turns invisible working against them, and they're doing a good job. They're doing a good job on their own.
Wait, Jason, you're supposed to be reading the plot. You can't go away.
I'm here. Get used to it. Bowler versus Eddie Izzard. They have a good fight. What is
He
Eddie?
dies so quickly.
I'm protected by the god of haircut. And he like
that's
like
a good. That reminds me of what's the movie Kick-Ass. The Kick-Ass is a little bit like this movie as well.
Sure, yeah.
You know where they and the South Park area of the superheroism that they do, and even to a lesser degree the anime, where their imaginations are showing one thing where it's like we're doing spells, but in reality they're hitting each other with fucking like sticks,
like
you know?
killing each other.
Yeah, like in the South Park anime episode, they're using actual like nunchucks, and Kenny takes a fucking throwing star to the eye. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that I really like about this genre of superhero, and Kick-Ass does it really well. It's like these people are fighting each other to the death, if you think about it. And I am. Casanova has the girl. They're fucked. The thing that I thought was funny is like Mr. Fierce runs over to the wall and tries to like climb up it by just like scratching at it. But then Blue Raja is like, and he climbs up his forks, which is so ridiculous. But
no, it's great. It's great.
And he gives him like a little wink, and it's a really sweet moment. Like the characters all.
It's good.
It's nice that they all kind of like each other, and like
it's
the group hug that they do, which we're getting to.
Yeah. Tim makes a good point that the Tick comics were kind of like that too, where most of the superheroes and villains were just like normal ass people, and really Arthur's wings are like the only real fantastic thing that exists. You know,
the Tick be coming up a lot today.
TikTok,
well, get it?
TikTok, heyo,
tick tack talk. We got it.
You got it. Canceled. Banned. Mr. Furious finally hulks up. Wolverine's up. He's Hulk and Wolverine sort of combined, without being either of those things.
He's shitty Wolverine and he's also shitty Hulk. Yeah.
He's shitty Hulk and shitty Wolverine. Yeah. And he finally hulks up after Casanova Frankenstein beats the fuck out of him for a little bit with his coke nail. And when he finally figures it out and gets mad, they fight. But what's happening at the same time is the laser's going crazy. The laser actually does, the final thing to the town. It turns it into like a hallucinogenic hellscape, which I wanted them to like explore a little bit more. Like,
you say there were no people afflicted.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like
it was.
What are the parameters?
We're in the very, very end of the third act, though, so like they couldn't do. If you added anything, it would be a terrible movie.
In a fucking 2-hour movie already. Yeah. I think that's my problem with the first act being what it is I want more of like
second act,
late game. And also, like, I think Dave Mader was saying earlier, like, this movie does deserve a sequel. I don't know if the sequel happens now, but it is a 2001 or 2002 sequel to this would have been good. They use the bowling ball to destroy the laser. They get into the huddle formation. Bowler uses the bowling ball. Oh shit! Disco Boy is back.
I'm the god of
conversations-
heck.
The conversations she has with her dad are really
Yeah.
funny. And like Janeane Garofalo is just so naturally funny and naturally talented and has like a
So
good
deadpan.
rhythm for it. Yeah, exactly. And like in Romeo and Michelle's
Dry.
high school reunion, she's playing kind of that same like deadpan character, but it's so perfect. But she's like,
She's Daria.
I went as Daria for Halloween one time.
I believe you.
It was very easy.
Just have to kind of talk like this.
No.
And Beavis and Butt have to show up and be like, diarrhea, cha cha cha, diarrhea.
TP for my
cha-cha-cha.
bunghole.
That's pretty much the end of the movie. I did like the line where the Sphinx says, "We're number one. All others are number 2 or lower." I thought that was really good.
So
And then,
they actually say the name of the movie. Oh wait, that's a thing.
Hold on a sec. Yeah,
It
why don't you can
It
see,
is a
you
name
can literally see
of
me.
the thing.
You
But
can literally see me looking around here and trying to find it.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
The whole movie, they keep being like, "What's the name of our group?" At 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 29 seconds, they finally say, "Wait, no, that's good. We're the Mystery Men," because the news anchor is like, "These mystery men have saved the day."
No, but there's
And
a
then-
comedic beat where Sphinx is like, they say Mystery Man. He's like, "That's it. We're the Super Squad."
We're the
and you
Super
think
Squad.
he's gonna be like, "That's it. It's Mystery
I
Man."
have it. Wait.
And then they
We are
keep
known
arguing about
as
it.
the Super Squad. Ding, 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 ding,
No, the
ding,
alliteration
ding,
is-
ding,
and
ding, 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 ding. Jason,
And
I
that
think
is
if
the end
we
of the
put it
movie.
on, I think that the people that love it will love it, and like the people that own it will maybe give us a. They won't give it to us.
So your final thought?
No.
Final thoughts?
Yeah, I got a couple more final thoughts.
I think that that's the movie. That's the Mystery Men film. I think now it's time to go into our. Oh, here, I'll do the sounds. I'm on it. We did some theories. Why don't we talk about a little bit of this?
You had to pick one. What do you think the Home Alone of it all?
the Home Alone of it all?
Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone?
I
of it
really
all
gotta
happens?
know.
When is the Home Alone of it all?
What is the Home Alone of it all?
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
So to steer the conversation a little bit, I'm going to go first. My Home Alone of it all is them walking with their upgraded suits and then doing the final dungeon, because it reminds me of like a Final Fantasy thing. Okay, a little bit.
Yep. I
No,
think
what's
the
your
Home
Home
Alone of it all is the whole movie.
Oh, interesting.
Well, it's because you're like, okay, so the characters are given to you, and at that moment, I'm like, okay, what are we getting? Like, what's the Home Alone of it all? I don't know about this movie. Like, I have difficulty with this segment because I truly don't understand it. Like, my brain refuses to understand what a Home Alone moment is. So
It's simple. The Home Alone of it all is when
Have you
Kevin.
seen
No,
Home
you've
Alone?
You've explained
When
it to me.
Kevin-
I've watched the show. I've listened to it. I've been here, and I still don't freaking get it. It's like I just am resistant to knowing when Trevor has physiotherapy, like what days those are, and when the Home Alone of it is. I don't understand. Like my brain just cannot. So I agree with you. That sounds right. I actually do think that sounds right. Final Dungeon. Jason, I agreed with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a good thumbs up and a good.
I thought Steve was just immediately going to start talking, so
No,
I walked away
why
for a
do you
sec.
think that I was?
What's your
good?
Home Alone of it all, Steve?
What's your Home Alone of it all? Thank you for agreeing with me, Noel. Thank you so much. Thank you, Noel. I'm on the ones and twos, so
Because I think you're right. Like, if that sounds right. Nailed it.
Steve, what's your Home Alone of it all?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay. Well,
he's the Home Alone of it all.
I have to say,
we're so close to the end. We got two segments left.
I got it. It's the one. It's the part where you know, Jason.
What part?
Okay. My favorite part of this movie. Oh wait, not favorite part. My Home Alone of it all of this movie is when the breakup happens when he has to leave, when he's like, who is looking for the pinking shears? Like that part in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when he leaves and then they come back. That's my favorite part.
Perfect.
Jason, it's yours.
It's time to play Guess the MP.
No, I have like 10 different ones.
Hello, and welcome to the Hit Game Show. Hey, did you MPAA? My name is Spleen Furious, and I'm the hit host of this show. And the rules are simple. You have to guess the three digits. The second, okay, so there's 5 digits. So you just guess the between 1 and 999. It's pretty simple. The first 2 digits this week are 36.
333.
Higher, Steve.
Should you just say 333?
Yeah.
You did.
That's what I was gonna pick. 3, 3, 4.
No, lower. No, wait. Sorry, higher. That would be
568.
Steve, higher.
8, 8, 2.
I'm guessing we didn't get it. Oh my god.
Whoa, Jason. The MPAA, everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
The number this week was, of course, 36821. Of course.
821.
And with that, it is now time for our where the fuck is it's time for our thank you.
It's time for our final thoughts.
Just like at the beginning of the show, it is a time-honored tradition around here to have our guest go first. The bowler, Noel the bowler, the Noeler.
Baby bowler. Ooh, I like that.
The baby Noeler.
Baby bowler, yeah. I'm the one who gave your daddy the shaft.
Hey, why don't you hit us with your final thoughts?
Okay. I hate all the close-ups. I do not like the way this movie looks a lot of the time. And I didn't say that at all because it doesn't ruin my enjoyment of the movie. But I just hate those close-up shots of the faces. It's not for me. I know it's a particular, like Tom Hooper did it. Also not for me then. However, the little problematic stuff, no way outdoes how fun this movie is and how much it, like, I can see why it's a cult classic. It's high camp. It's everything that I like about movies. You don't have to think too hard. There's no animal gets killed. You don't have to reflect on the evil world that you live in. You can just sit down and enjoy a movie. It is a 10 out of 10 on the Rompometer. if we're doing it out of 5 stars, it's a 4.5 out of 5 on just in all levels. It's 5 mystery men's out of 5. I like this movie. I really like this movie. I don't think it's like when I rewatched Zoolander, I was like, this movie isn't as good as I remember it, but that's not how I feel about Mystery Men. It's just like childhood charm, I suppose.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you much. No. Thank you much. Thank you much. No.
You couldn't do those close shots in HD. You just couldn't.
What did you say?
Every pore.
High definition face. Look at these marks on my forehead. It's from blading. It's not. Just old. Speaking of old, Steve, what are your final thoughts for the film The Mystery Man?
I think that this is a movie that is wide open for nostalgia, but only for people who are, I guess, there. I hate saying stuff like that where it's like, if you were there, you would have realized. But this is one of those movies that if you were there, you would have realized. Jason, you even said that you didn't connect to it in the way that you almost feel like you should have. I do. I connect to this movie in a way that I can't really explain to people other than just like showing it to them and being like, hey, right? And they're like, yeah. Or they're like, no. Or they're like, maybe. Those are the only things I can really kind of explain. I'm trying to open my my Letterboxd review. Let me just.
I like that this final thought of the movie is just like leather.
I'm trying to. Hold on. It's here.
Well,
what?
Okay.
What?
I was going to buy time for you, but that's okay. If you got
if you want to buy time, you can. It's $5 a freaking minute over here.
I was just going to say that a lot of these things come back to newer generations with streaming, like how Friends came back with streaming. But like Mystery Men's just not easy to find. Like it's not.
That's true.
It's true, but
kind of push, right?
It's not easy to find, but I'll tell you right now, it's really easy to find somebody to watch Mystery Men with, because I will watch you. I will watch you watching Mystery Men. I will watch you. Both of you, I will watch you both watch Mystery Men if you watch Mystery Men with me, and we can figure it out together. That's my that's everything I have to say about the movie tonight. Jason, go ahead.
Thank you, Steve. I wrote this. It's such a good movie. I love how how off the wall and bonkers it gets. They do a lot of world building for such a small scale story. I really like the elaborate set pieces and how fast the city feels. How big the city feels is clearly what I meant. Champion City. I wrote this in the past, like in the future, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll pre-read this and say Champion City before. Anyway, decent score and soundtrack with all the disco, excellent ensemble cast. It's good all around. I think my main gripe is just with how I can see the first half in my mind so vividly. So this watch was kind of boring until it became new content. But obviously, a first-time viewer wouldn't experience it. I give it a 3.8 out of 5. I give this All-Star being in this before Shrek.
It's always made me angry when people are like, yeah, All-Star for Shrek. And I'm like, no,
it's from Rat Race. And
I mean, I love Shrek, but I also love Rat Race. So I don't know. I don't know.
I also give this movie just Steve's leather jacket leather sounds.
If you're still here,
louder.
thank you.
It's so good. I think that's everything as far as the body of the episode and the outro and stuff. Before we get out of here, Noel, could you just plug something if you'd like to?
Yeah, find me on a podcast called Stick Taps and Stitches. It is a hockey podcast. Right now, we're in the middle of the playoffs, so that's super fun. If you like movie reviews in the summer when there are no playoffs and when we watch hockey movies, so we do little mini episodes about hockey movies, and I think we're gonna do Sudden Death this time. I think that's what it's called. The Jean-Claude Van Damme one. It takes place during it's Stanley Cup playoffs. Great. I think Gary Bettman's actually in it. Anyway, Stick Taps and Stitches, wherever you find your podcasts, we are there. Me and two men. So if you don't like listening to women talk about sports, there's two guys. Don't worry.
And who wants to realistically listen to women talk about sports? Just kidding. I don't want to listen to anybody talk about sports, if I'm being honest. That's too harsh. I think that's too harsh.
No,
Noel?
you're not. You're fine. My physiotherapist does not understand. She was like, how do people pick what sport you like or what team? And I'm like, yeah, that's a great
Indoctrination, I think. It's probably has something to do with that. It's like religion. With that, Noel, thank you for being on this episode of Hey, Did You See This One Tonight? We have covered a lot of ground. It is 11:30. So 3.5 hours, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to let everybody know that you can find us on all social media at Hey Did You See This One. Steve, do you have anything that you would like to plug tonight?
Yes. I'm on a Star Wars channel. Find My Voice. You can find me there. Find me. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just find it.
Can I plug you guys? On our podcast, on Stick Taps and Stitches, we have sound bites that Steven made. One of the sound bites is kind of a joke soundbite about a hockey team that has had like 20 years of like absolute strife. That team is no longer in existence. That's how much strife. They've moved it to a different city. So now we do not know what to do with that entire segment. So
what team?
The Arizona Coyotes.
Oh, where did the Coyotes move to?
Utah.
What?
Yeah.
I know enough about
the Utah Latter-day Skates.
They're not called that. Are you kidding me?
They are not. They don't have a name yet.
Okay. Because Latter-day Skates, the Salt Lake City fucks. That would be a good name.
Anyway,
for a hockey team.
So we're gonna need some new sound bites. So if you like the sound bites on this show, hop on over for the last time that you're gonna hear the Coyote sound bite.
Yeah, my best pal co-host Steve is a voice actor. I'll promote him for you. Hit him up on all social media at Waters Illustrate.
Because he's an illustrator and his last name is Waters.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an illustrator. Yeah,
Boba Blackfly. Like I said, you can find me everywhere as well, but I'm not going to tell you my handle because it doesn't matter. It's important influencer. But hey, did you see this one on all social media? With that, I think we're going to go into some other promotions that we like to do. We are, of course, a part of the United Federation of Podcasts.
All right.
And do you know what comes along with that?
Sex.
Graphic Histories. Graphic Histories is a comic book podcast. Trivial Debates is a podcast that me and Steve have both been on, where you debate and it's all very trivial. The X-rated X-Men animated review show, they went live tonight and they talked about the most recent episode of the X-Men 97 show. That show is very, very good, and listen to them talk about it. Live Long and Podcast. There's so much Star Trek, I don't know what to do with it all. Why don't you help them help you figure it all out for you? Hold Up Movie Podcast, sort of our sister show where we talk about one movie for 4 hours. They talk about 3 movies in a tight 2. Emon on Track. It's a music podcast. I'd like to be on it. I know a lot about music too, guys. Come on. And of course, hey, did you see this one? The show you're watching right now. Hey, did you see this one? A show that is on now. I think now what we can do is nope. Sorry.
Play the video.
No, I want to ask if we always forget to do this now. Noel, can you ask a very important question that everybody needs to ask each other every week? No, wait, hold on. Do it again.
Hey, did you see this one?
One, two, and three to the floor. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at your door.
Oh, he's singing Cisco.
That feels like hours ago.
It does feel like hours ago, doesn't it?